What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys can hear me okay with these AirPods in. It should have some noise canceling, so hopefully it'll not be too loud out here. But I thought I'd come outside because it's a beautiful evening here in Southern California. Let's see, 60 degrees. Some of you, I think someone mentioned here, Syntax 2600 said 15 degrees. I don't know where you guys are at, but that's cold. So we're 60 degrees here. It is, 6 o'clock at night. And I don't know. I guess that's what one of the things we pay for here in California is pretty good weather. But it does get cold sometimes. I mean, we'll get down into the high 30s sometimes, but this winter has been really warm so far. We were 80 degrees, maybe 78 degrees a little earlier this week. I've been out in Atlanta for work and just got back this morning. And so just a quick 4-hour flight each way. It was quite a bit colder out there. So hopefully you guys are staying warm. So I got a good show for us today. And I'm going to call you guys out here in a second, but we're going to be talking about what's going on in the gold and silver market. I mean, I think that's what most of you want to know about what's happening. But we're going to do this a little differently than I have with my other live streams. One, I am going to answer your questions you guys have. But I am going to bring up, and we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about some of the subjects brought up on the videos that have happened in the last couple weeks. And I'm going to start to do this so we can focus a little bit more on structure, where things are going. I don't just ask people if I can interview them for fun or to just get views. I'm an investor. I'm a stacker. I don't do a lot of trading. So I do have stocks. I do have mining stocks, for example, but I tend to hold them more long term. So I'm not really doing swing trading. I have done in the past. I did pretty well with it, but it does take a lot of time, and I just don't have the time to do it right now. But as a stacker, as an investor, I have a lot of questions, and so I see people like Andy Schectman. I see, Kevin Wadsworth that I had on. I see what he is showing in his charts on X. I've been to Silvano's shop at Tangible Investments multiple times. And, I sit down with him, and I've brought some of my rare collectible coins in, and he's let me know that they're collectible coins, but not very rare. And, I may swap some of those out. So I'll probably be doing a video like that pretty soon to look at a handful of coins to get his take on it and what would he recommend to do. So that's something we're going to be looking at. Lynette Zhang, I've enjoyed watching her. So I've had her on the show to talk to her. I'm in the process right now of talking with a couple other people. Until I have them firmed up with exact dates, I don't want to mention them yet, but I do have Rob Keynes from the Freedom Report. I'll be interviewing him next week, which I'm pretty excited about. And then I've got a couple other people that I'm working on a few times with that I don't think you've probably know super well, but they are known in the industry. And one of them's been on Andy Schectman's show before, and Andy knows him pretty well. He's making an introduction there. The other one's one I follow out of Australia. So once we get those guys lined up, I'll do it. But what I'm trying to do is help myself a little bit selfishly by finding some of these experts that I want to ask questions to. And so a lot of the way that I do this is really it's very authentic, because it's my questions, it's my thoughts, it's what I have. And so I want to use these Friday nights to do a couple things for you guys. One is to answer any questions you may have had from some of the videos, as well as questions you have in general. Usually when I do these interviews, we have 5 or 10 minutes before the interview starts to talk, and we don't record that stuff. I probably should start recording that a little bit earlier, because sometimes there's a good sound bite that comes out of it. And then oftentimes we'll have even more time. I spent like maybe another 10-15 minutes with Kevin Wadsworth after we did our last video on looking at the charts. And I had some questions I really wanted to ask on the video, but we were already past an hour, and I just didn't want it to go too long, and we ended up getting into a little bit more, and that didn't get recorded. So there's things like that I can kind of share with you guys. What I'll probably start doing on some of these is whatever we record beforehand and after the main video. I'll probably put that in for the members. So anybody that's doing a paid membership, it's $3 a month. You can always cancel. We'll probably do that as like a, outtakes and some other parts. I think that would be good. But anyway, that's what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to call you guys out here. We've got FJ Flippio. I'm thinking, I got to show it on the screen here. I'm thinking we consolidate between 58 and 68 until Christmas. And then we are all distracted with the festivities. It will spike to 72. Comex will take an axe to their servers. I don't think they'll ever take the axe to their servers. They'll probably just blame it on a power outage because of an air conditioning unit. That's what they're going to do. But I hear you on that. So you saw the thumbnail. I am going to hit that today. We're going to talk a little bit about what Kevin told me afterwards. And if you've watched the video, you'll see it in there. Now, we're going to do silver and gold gauze. Sorry, not gold gauze right now. We're going to do silver gauze tonight. And I'm not going to be pulling it from all of the chats that are in here. I'm going to be pulling it from people that left comments on those videos this week. So anyway, we're going to try to see if we can pull that off. And if we can, that'll be great. If not, maybe we'll have to switch it up a little bit. But if you guys haven't watched those videos, I definitely recommend going back and watching those. If you have, I want to reward you for doing that stuff. So for example, the gauze we're doing tonight really come off of the video we did with Kevin Wadsworth. So I'll be looking at his video to try to pull the comments. And we'll see if we can make that work tonight. We've got Rob in here too, JM Unleashed, welcome, number 5. So we got another person here. Syntax 2600 is agreeing that the consolidation assessment. So we are going to talk about that, guys. I'm going to tell you where I think it's going to. All right, we've got, let's see, JM Unleashed has a comment on here too. I want to pull up. Thinking of a 10 or 15% flash crash can happen anytime, but the upside momentum is looking great. So we'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about platinum a little bit too, and we'll also talk about what the COMEX did last night. It was actually on the East Coast, so it was kind of early in the morning. I just didn't. I've been working and flying all day. I didn't have time to get any videos out for it. So I'm buying only high premium items at the moment. If silver rises quickly and crypto has another few bad weeks, some of those crypto boys or bros will pay an exorbitant amount to get some skin in the game. I do think this is going to happen at some point. Maybe not so much with gold, but maybe a little bit more on the silver side. So I don't think you're going to see the Bitcoin guys jump over quite yet. I think they still really believe that Bitcoin is going to still go up into the multiple hundreds of thousands before the next halving cycle starts over. But I'm also seeing some videos out there that are talking about this might be the bottom of their halving cycle. That's interesting. So we can talk about that if you guys want to talk about that. I don't know if any of you guys have crypto. On the flip side, I think people that are into Ethereum and into more of the alt and meme stocks or coins, I should say, I think a lot of them, when they see the action that's going to start happening with silver, we're starting to see $2 to $3 days, right? What happens when we start to see the $5 days, the $10 days? And what I mean by that is the movement up and down. I think you'll start seeing some of those people starting to jump in. All right. Yeah, so there's the premium stuff, is the Comsco and Geiger. So I've got quite a bit of that stuff. Is pretty fun. I just don't, you don't go too heavy on that stuff if you're trying to go for weight. All right, let's see what else you guys got in the chat here. We've got Craig in the house, so welcome, Craig. And I'll just remind you guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the thumbs up. We'll do more silver gauze if we get up to 100 thumbs up on this live stream while we're live. We got 103 of you guys watching, so it shouldn't be too hard to get close to 100. We'll do some more silver gauze for that. And those we'll do off of the chat in here too. And by the way, if I can't pull it from the other chat, if we're not able to get it to work tonight, then we'll just pull it from here and I'll have to figure it out later. All right, let's see. You guys are already going crazy in the comments, which is great. So best way for me to know if you have a question for me is for you to put it into all capitals. It makes it easier for me to see that. And if you're not able to put it into caps, then put like, say surfer and have a dotted line or something like that would make it a little easier. All right. Now, next week, I'm going to have a couple special guests coming on, and we're going to talk a little bit more about charts next week as well, which I think will be pretty good. Okay, so let's see who else we got in here. We've got Ethan. He says silver at $48 sounds like a good deal. I would love to see silver at 48. It's not impossible for it to happen. And if it does happen, though, I don't know that it's going to be super long lived unless it's kind of brought on by maybe some bad economic news that kind of crushes everybody's hopes for a while. If we just see shorting going on that really pushes it down, people are going to buy, and it won't be down there for very long. You're right around the 48 to $50 is around the 200-day moving average. So going below that, I don't think it's going to last very long if we do see it, but we will talk about that as well. All right, so we've got a couple more folks that are in here. And do leave comments, guys. The comments help, the thumbs up and the comments help the algorithm. It introduces it to more people. More people will come in and watch the show, which allows me to educate and entertain more of you guys as well. I can attest to this because I am paying a ton of taxes. So I'd be curious. Let's do this. You guys leave me a comment down below. What's your percentage of income tax for your state? What do you pay? I'm in the 10% California state income tax bracket. That's what I pay there. So I pay federal, and then I pay 10% into the state tax. And I think I'm at about 1.5% on my property tax. Luckily, luckily or bad, we have basically rent control that goes on here with property tax. So my house can only go up in value 2% per year. And it's almost doubled in value. So I do have some benefit of that system. However, I probably overpaid that, the tax percentage is higher than it probably needs to be, because there's so many people that are paying way less than what I pay that have been here for 20, 30 years. But I'd be curious to see what you guys pay in state income tax. And then you can talk to Mrs. Surfer and say, hey, you guys get a raise if you move. I love it here, by the way. I don't really want to move, but there's a big financial burden here. And I know if I could go somewhere else, save some of my money, pull it out of my house, put it into silver, gold, and platinum right now, I could make so much more money. And I pull the calculator out and I show her, and she doesn't seem to care because she hears about people that are living in 15-degree weather. And then she looks outside and it's like 78. That's hard to kind of convince someone to do. All right, let's see. So Craig's in Hawaii and he's about 80 right now. Hawaii would be a fun place, but you also get a lot of taxes out there. So I went to grad school in Chicago, went to Northwestern, lived in Glenview area. At the time my son was, I don't know, I guess he was about 20 months or so old. And we wanted to be a little bit away from the college campus stuff. But Chicago is a great area. We got 53 in Florida. So it's a little bit colder out there on the East Coast. 68 in Houston. All right, so let's talk about this too. All right, saw the ratio go to 70. Anyone trade up? So we're going to talk about this a bit too, but we can hit this real quick. Let me pull up my ratios here just to show you guys. So first off, this is where price ended. Okay, so we saw gold up 4,300 bucks. We saw silver come down a little bit, almost $2 at 61.99, which is insane to see it over 60, guys. I was calling that the other day, and it seemed to hit pretty good. And I'm not trying to be a person that gets these numbers perfect or right on the right time, but I do try to give you guys some heads up when I can find it to get prepared for what may be coming. Okay, so we had some major momentum going up there. The one I want you to pay attention to is platinum. Look at platinum; it's up $48. And so we're going to kind of low tech this because I don't like how they do it on the desktop. But let me show you platinum and then we'll go back to silver. So if I show you, we'll look at the 1 year here. Do you guys put a 1 in the chat if you'd like a surprise guest? All right, let's see if we can pull this off real quick. I'm going to pull in a surprise guest for us if you guys want one, but I need to see some ones. All right, let's do this. All right, I'm starting to see some ones in here. All right, guys, here we go. Let's see if we can get our surprise guests in here. And I was on my phone. I'm going to make sure that it's not switching over to this for the headphones. Okay. All right, surprise guest. I think you're lurking in here. So I just sent you the link via text message. All right, guys. So hopefully we'll have a surprise guest here in just a moment. So platinum is an interesting one because it's not a monetary metal, but it has been one that's been beaten down pretty big. A lot of that has to do with the car industry. A lot of it has to do with the economics of things. But we've been seeing it go up quite a bit. I think it got down to around $900 last year. And, now we're seeing it up actually a lot. So I was quite surprised to see how high it is. But I don't recommend platinum as a place for people to start. I recommend platinum as a place for people that have a pretty mature stack and are wanting to do a little bit more. So I'll just show you the 1-year average there. You guys can see that. Okay. So it's gone up quite a bit. And that has made a big difference. Now let's hit silver real quick. I want to show you this last year. Well, let's just show you the today in silver. Okay, this is what manipulation looks like, guys. That is manipulation. Okay. There's no reason with this momentum for gold and silver to drop anywhere like that. And so that's been crazy. All right. Okay. Let me also do this real quick. Just in case our guest needs an email, let me send it to him via email. Mm. All right, sorry guys, but you will enjoy this guest if we can get him connected in here. Oh, here we go. We've got a guest coming in, guys. Hello, who's this?
It's Yankee, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, Yankee, how's it going?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay. I apologize for the delay. I have to actually get myself up into my studio. I've been hobbled for the past week. I tore my back pretty bad, and I've been out of commission
no.
for a while. So I haven't really been able to post much or do many videos. I haven't been able to visit Tim, which is driving me crazy. I haven't done any live streams since that. So I was sitting there listening to you, and I was like, oh man, it'd be kind of fun to actually get in front of the mic. I don't want to, I don't want to take over your live stream. You're doing awesome, but I would be honored. I thought maybe, hey,
No,
I'd
this
love
would
to
be
drop
great.
in. I have
We'd
some
love to do it,
questions for
so
you. I want to learn from you. I want to ask you some questions.
you want to pick my brain? Okay, pick my brain.
I do. You first of all, let me just say I'm really proud of what you've done with your channel and the interviews, some of the guests and things that you've done. And you and I have talked offline before, and I know you have great hopes and plans and dreams, and what you're doing with your channel is really good. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
People can learn a lot from subscribing and listening to you. You cover a lot of ground, and you're well spoken and very knowledgeable. So, well
Well,
done.
thank you, Yankee. I'm just going to throw out to everybody. Yankee's been a great mentor. He's someone that I've been working with him for a couple years. Just as a first, I started off getting advice from Yankee, from watching his channel, as well as I think the Buffalo Bullet membership. And we looked at my stack. We looked at financial situations and things like that. We've had great conversations over the years, and even just how to help the channel succeed and go well. And I've I've kind of debated on, do I do interviews, do I not do interviews? And I've been having a lot of fun with the interviews, and I've got some pretty cool people coming up here pretty soon, Yankee, that are gonna be interviewed. So
Awesome.
I guess we're gonna keep going with interviews for a while at least, and we'll see how things go. But it's been fun. So
Well, you
what
do a good
questions do
job
you
with that.
have?
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
thank you.
So let's start out by saying our question: is this a mania? Are we in a mania yet with silver, or is it just? Has it not even begun yet?
We're not even close to a mania yet, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
So among stackers, okay.
Mhm.
So here's what's interesting. I did an interview with Kevin Wadsworth the other day, and we posted that this week. I think it was on Monday. I talked to him, and my pre-conversation with him before we did the interview, we talked about the three kinds of people that probably will be watching this content. And one of them is, and it's probably the largest group, which is the stackers. So, what does a stacker mean and how do they look at the market? And then the second one was investors. And the third one was, traders, which, let's just say you're trading on a weekly, so you could be a day trader to a weekly trader. And each one of those groups is a little bit different. And so, but the people that are doing that in precious metals right now, for the most part, have not hit into any kind of a mania phase. I do think some of us are FOMOing. I did see some comments from people this week that talked
Mhm.
about, I bought yesterday and I feel dumb that I bought at the top. Well, you never know when the top is in, guys. And if you're dollar cost averaging, buying on a consistent basis, then you don't need to worry too much about tops. Just spread yourself out a little bit when you're buying. And when you see dips come down like today, that's maybe another time to consider buying a little bit more if Friday's your day you buy, for example. But what a mania looks like to me, Yankee, is when I start hearing a bunch of other people that know me and maybe have an idea that I kind of do this. It's when they start calling me and texting me. Um, and
That's happening.
maybe
That's
some
happening. That's happening to me right now.
it, it is happening, but it's
I'm
just
getting
barely
friends of
starting to
friends of
happen.
friends and
Yeah.
other family members and things like now.
So you're
Now you're
starting to get
looking at
that.
it now.
But I don't think the mania hits until we hit 100. And the
Mhm.
reason I say that is I think when you hit 100, the news channels cannot ignore it. It's going to be something that you can't you can't write it off as just a circumstance, right? It's a reality of what's happening. They've already called it the devil's metal. Okay, silver was created by God, so was gold. It is not the devil's metal by any means. I have an idea of where they're getting that from, and I think they're trying to spook people out of it a little bit. But I would say the real mania hits when we get to 100. That's when you start hearing people at the grocery store, mentioning and talking about silver. It's when you have a checkout clerk say, "Hey, have you seen silver's at $100?" And there's no way that person would normally talk about it. That's when I think you're going to start to get into the true mania phase of things. For me, $50 was a big number, and once I saw it past 50, that's where I knew. It's going to be harder to make that decision to keep buying. And I have to start looking at my strategy on how I'm going to change it up a little bit because um, once you pass 50, we've broken out of the cup and handle, which basically just means, guys, that for 45 years, silver's been, kind of below the radar from 1980 to 2011 on those two moves. and it just hasn't really performed like it should and catch up with inflation until it passed 50. And once it went up to 50 and it came back down into the high 40s, and then it went back over 50, and then it came back, hit 50, and went over. We've now have a confirmed cup and handle move, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
darn bullish for silver.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're starting to see the first leg. So in my book, we're like in the first inning of a World Series of silver, and we're probably basically bottom of the first inning. And with gold, we're probably at the top of the second inning. It's got a head start on silver already. We've just seen the ratio
Yeah.
come down. It almost came down to 63.
63. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can just quickly say, I think what we're seeing now is interest in precious metals that we're not used to seeing. We're used to being the stackers are used to being the redheaded stepchild. Apologies, the redheaded stepchild. So might be listening right now, but we've been marginalized, mocked, laughed at, whatever. It's like, you stackers. Yeah. It's all that's so stupid. To a large extent, you feel ostracized, a little weird. That strange man at the Thanksgiving table, whatever. But now people are sitting up and taking notice. So I think we're in the noticed category. It's not the mania. It's not even close. I agree with you 100%. Next question related, and you kind of stepped on a little bit. I hear this a lot. Should we really buy now? Really? Should we buy more silver and gold now? Should we? Surfer,
do you want my answer to that? Okay.
Of course, I'm asking. I'm lobbing them up for you, buddy.
Here we go. So by the way, guys, we haven't talked about this already. So this is totally not staged. These are unscripted. Okay, so I'll give you just a little history. I started buying when silver was around $26 an ounce. Yep. And then we saw it go back down to, I want to say it got down to 18 for a very short period of time, and it started coming back up. So I've been doing it for a few years now. And, I've always kind of gone with this methodology of dollar cost averaging. And back in 2021, 2022, I had enough disposable income coming in that I could do it on a kind of a biweekly basis when my paycheck came in. I could take a little bit off and do that. And so it was really easy for me to dollar cost average. The last 2 years has been harder to do it consistently because I'm getting like a bonus once or twice a year. And that becomes a lot trickier to figure out how do I manage that. So if you get a big chunk of money in, say, February or March, and you get another chunk of money, say, in September, October, how do you dollar cost average that? Do you spend that out over the next several months, or do you just go in and buy? So here's where I'm going with this answer here is I did have another lump sum of money come in around September. And so I could see that we were getting close to breaking out of this, 45-year cup and handle. And by the way, someone did mention, and it is true, we formed another cup and another handle, and we're just about to come out of that handle, guys. So this is really bullish if you understand technical analysis at all. So I started backing up the truck a bit more below 50, even below 40. So I started buying a little bit more aggressively at 40. And actually 37's when I started doing it. OC Stacker was helping with a couple deals, and they kept falling through. I had maybe 7 deals fall through where we would have it locked in, but silver would move up bucks in 2 days, and then the person would cancel it. And then we finally got a few of them once we got around, low 40s. And I picked up a little bit more into the high 40s, and I've bought a little bit around 50. I personally have not bought anything above 60. Now, to answer your question, should we still be buying? My answer is yes, but there's a caveat to it. If you're someone that has a lot of silver already and you've got a very strong stack of silver and you have no gold, then I would be considering and looking at your stack and trying to figure out if it's time to maybe start going into some gold. That's one option you can take. Another one, if you have a lot of silver, would be trying to look at your average cost of buying silver is, And right now is not a time where I would go completely crazy in doing it. I think we're going to see some momentum up. And so to kind of answer that question, Yankee, it's yes, I'm always buying. I probably buy still on I would say a weekly to biweekly basis. But then I get these lump sums that I buy a little bit more when I see a dip, and then I hold on to it for a little longer. And so more recently, I picked up. We drove up to Central California 4 hours each way to go pick up an incredible silver deal. And when we got there, I found out it was even better than I thought than I knew it was. But I'm not going to spill the beans on that one. But it was a great deal, and it's one of those things.
Was that the one you were Was that the one you were kind of telling me about? You had mentioned to me, or is that? I won't say anything, but it
might be, or it might be a different one too. But I think it might be that one.
That sounded good. That was really good. You and I were talking about something that we're about.
We found a great deal on it, but we continue to buy. I know OC Stacker. I think he's got another friend that needs to unload some silver. Yeah, so we're probably going to get a big chunk of silver tomorrow or Sunday or Monday. And I will probably buy a little bit of that, and then we'll have some to potentially go to other people that have contacted us in the past that are interested in buying. So my answer is yes, I'm going to keep buying. Like, I'm not going to stop buying it at 65 or 70 or 75 or 80 or even 100. I think this price of silver is going way higher than that. I from what I can tell with the charts, looking at Kevin Wadsworth, to me, it looks like gold's going to double from 4,000 to 8,000. And then it looks like there's another doubling from 8 to 16,000. And if you go and do the math with that, we're looking at much higher than $100 silver that should come out of this. And usually silver will outdo the percentage gain that gold does. And then the wild card here is if the COMEX and LBMA unfold and the paper silver trade breaks, we could be into the hundreds of dollars per ounce of silver if people that own the ETFs, SLV, really need the silver in hand, and they realize that it's been rehypothecated and that there's I don't know, what is it, 300 ounces or something? I haven't looked at it recently, but anyway,
I do have another question.
260 ounces, something like that.
I do have another question for you. I just want to chime in real quick on my own question. Should you buy now? And guys, listen to what Surfer is saying. This is just an example of his knowledge and wisdom here. I really believe you nailed it, especially with those who have not gained any positions in precious metals. Mrs. Yankee and I were going out just to do a few errands until my back said no mas, and I had to get back and ice it. But I was like talking to her about the silver prices, and we talked about gold and some of the things that we want. And I'm going to want to parlay this or transition this a little bit to gold in a minute. But she was like, should people still be buying it? She asked the question. And I was like, excellent question, sweetie. And I do think it depends on where you're at, what your goals are, how old you are, what your risk tolerance is, how much you currently have or don't have. And I said, frankly, there isn't, I don't think a human being in our country that shouldn't have some silver, and maybe some gold, depending on their circumstance. I mean, you got to have something as a wealth preservation, as insurance. Because it's getting crazy, and it's not going to get any less crazy over the next 3 to 5 years. It's only going to get worse, in my opinion. So, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not stupid. I can see the writing on the wall here, but yes, you should. Now, my buy ratio, just to let you know, Surfer, has changed dramatically over the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Okay, where were you at?
Okay,
then and where are you at now?
Quick.
Yeah.
All right. So what I started in, I stacked silver when I was a little kid with my dad, but nothing significant. It was really for fun, just silver dimes and all that kind of stuff. My dad loved it. Anyway, 2018, I got into silver. 2019, 2020, those were the teen years. Silver was spot prices in the teens. Premiums were reasonable, right? And for 3 years, boom, stacking it up, whatever. Then you're talking about the COVID years. We're in the 20s. Remember how long we stayed in the 20s? We traded sideways for years, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It wasn't until end of 24 we broke that 30 mark, right? It didn't take long like less than a year, we were through the 30s into the 40s. People were saying at that point when it hit 40, they're like, no one is going to buy silver now.
Yeah.
No one wants so $40 an ounce. Are you crazy? And some people were selling it then. Side note, I talked to Tim today. The line was long. All sellers, one buyer. I mean, it was like sell, sell, sell. So there are people that are using this as an opportunity. But I keep telling people, buy, build your position. It depends on where you're at. My buy ratio at its peak was 400 ounces to 1. 400 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. For every 1 ounce of gold I received. Now, again, I'm almost 60, so your mileage may vary where you're at and what your goals are. But for me, I wanted to have 400 ounces of silver every time I bought an ounce of gold, or vice versa, whatever it was. It's now 40 to 1. 40 to 1. 40 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. So I have dramatically curtailed a lot of my silver purchases. Now, would I buy more? Yeah. If I saw that silver price get hammered and drop back down into, say, the 40s or 30s, 40s, somewhere in there, I would be backing up the truck. But I have a good position in silver, kind of unwieldy in some cases, but the gold is much more portable, much easier to handle, and I like to stack dense. So I like that mobility. So I've been focusing more on the gold because I don't think that has outperformed yet. I think silver has done phenomenally well. It's the best asset class, bar none, this year. I mean, it's just amazing to see what it's done. So yeah, I think the buy ratio is important. You got to figure out where it fits for you. Mrs. Yankee asked, where do you think it's going? I said, well, honey, that's proprietary information. I can't divulge that. You know that. No. I said we're going to announce our predictions for next year in during Silver Pros on Thursday with the Silver Dragons. He's like, really? You're going to make me listen to that? I'm like, no.
I love it.
But anyway, but really, I and just full disclosure, I suck when it comes to predictions. Okay. I thought 39. Ooh, silver was going to go to 39 the end of this year. Boy, was I wrong. I might be a little bit more aggressive for 2026. Okay. Just a little teaser there, but I really do believe that, and again, this is just for fun. Nobody knows where silver and gold are going, but I really do think we're going to see some amazing gapping up. In fact, back to the mania point.
Yep.
That's also when you know it's a mania. When you wake up in the morning and it isn't up 1% or 2%, or like today it was up 3%, 3.44, whatever it was. It could be up 10%. It could gap up so fast, 20%. It could go ballistic overnight. Those are some of the things that I think we've never experienced. We've never really experienced this kind of rise this fast. Or at least I haven't, right? Is silver. It's been a remarkable rise, but I don't think we've seen anything yet. Can I share the gold chart that I've been working on? Can I do that?
Yes, let's do it.
Stream
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just a quick little thing. I want your opinion on this. Okay. Image file. Is that how that works? Yeah, where are we? That's not it. Yeah. Hold on. I think this is it.
Yeah, it should let you show it. Yep, there you go.
Is that showing it?
All right. Yep, here we go.
Look at this with gold. 36 and a half years to get from 35 to 1,000. 12 and a half, 1,000 to 2. 4 and a half, 2 to 3. 6 months, 3 to 4. Could it be 3 months before we hit 5? I think it could.
It could be.
Now,
yeah, it really could.
I haven't done the silver chart. It'd be even more dramatic than this, but I just want to show. I mean, that's fast. That is real fast.
Well, and it'll keep. Well, it'll potentially continue to decrease the number of months in between those. I mean, we could also have some circumstances that consolidate it for a little bit of time too.
True, absolutely.
But the trend is in there. I mean, what we're seeing is, to your point, we're not in mania. Mania is exactly when you guys start to see a $10 move in silver in a day, and you see like a $100, $150, $200 move in gold. And you'll know that there's a mania, in my opinion, Yankee, because you're going to feel it in your gut.
In your bones.
That feeling's going to be called FOMO. And that feeling's going to be, oh my gosh, I don't have enough of this stuff. I need to hurry and go out and buy some. And that's where I do say, hey, pull back a little bit. look at what's going on around you and try to figure out what's going to happen. So the
I'm
people that bought
focusing, like I
yesterday,
said, I'm focusing more on gold. I admit it than I have in the
sure.
past. Silver was a big priority for me, right? I'm glad I did when I did. But I would buy gold if gold drops below 4,000 into the threes, dude. I'm ready. Mrs. Yankee's like, okay. So the gold and silver you said we purchased, right? You said you'd never want to sell it ever. And I looked at her and went, remember that conversation about 7, 8 years ago I had with you? She's like, yes. She said, could we? I said, of course we could. It's always there just in case, right? But I don't. You and I got out of the dying fiat currency bankster environment with a portion of what we have for a reason. That reason has not changed. It's only gotten worse. I don't want to go back into it with the gold and silver. I have no intention on ever selling, which you can call it selling, converting, whatever, back to fiat currency. If I had to, I would, obviously, but I never want to. She says, well, would you ever if we, I could tell her wheels were turning. She's like, well, if we get this money, would you ever consider buying it and then turning around and selling it for a profit? I'm like, oh, I don't usually look at physical metals that way. You know that,
Well,
honey.
is it
Now
a
I do,
profit though?
right.
There's my other question.
Exactly. What we seen with inflation or, the cost of living or affordability, I guess is the new buzzword now. I mean, it's been incredible, right? So now I do believe there's an arbitrage, especially with silver, because it's way behind its all-time inflation adjusted
sure.
highs, right? So I do think there's an upside to buy and sell. It's just not the way I view silver, and my stacking strategy, and not the way I view gold. But I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. Some people do look at it that way, and I think there is a case to be made for that. Where I try to play the game and make money, if you will, and we can talk about this later if you even want to broach it, is it to a small degree the mining stocks. All right. So that has been insane. And I would turn around and sell that in a heartbeat to cash in, right?
Yes.
But I am so glad that I have a portion of people that actually listened to some of that years ago, months ago, and are just thrilled with the returns, the 5x, the 10x returns, right? So that to me is a different category. That's not stacking. That's a very small portion of what I do, very small. But to me, I say to my wife, honey, that's where I leverage it. That's where I would sell it, bang, if we needed it right away, right? So I trade over there. I don't do that with the physical precious metals. That is sacrosanct to me. That is like the ark that I want to build and get into it.
Well, but Yankee, you also don't
financial,
you don't put 100% of
waters.
all of your you don't put 100% of all
Yeah.
your wealth into gold and silver coins and into a vault, right? I mean, it's you
That's
have different
interesting.
investment categories that are out there.
And people argue that back and forth too. They say, well, Yankee, why would you have a dime anywhere else? Right? This is the ultimate savings. Okay, I can see that. I'm not in the state where I can just preserve everything. I do actually need a cash flow to live, to eat. I retired, so it's important for me to have something else. But if that all went to zero, if the dollar resets and suddenly some administration comes out with a brand new currency, digital currency, so, based on stable coins or whatever, right? And says everything's going to be repriced. Everything's going to be repriced. I know it is. Yes, you and I know that. So, I would suffer to a percent like the majority of our citizens would. But there's this arc over here that'll help protect us. It's the reasons why I prep for other things as well, and food and water and all that. But this is important to have as a protection. So question, I want to turn it back to you.
Yes.
I did mention mining stocks. I'll throw that out. Do you think that's a bunch of hooey? Nobody should do it, or what do you think? Because I know what I think.
Well, let me tell. I'm gonna call off the percentage returns of some of my miners.
Okay, I'll do the same.
All right, phone. So
there it is. I got it.
Here we go. So
yep.
This is okay. Mind you, I got into mining stocks 2 years ago, and after sitting there for 6 months, not seeing a lot of movement, I decided to repurpose those funds, and so I started to buy more heavily in let's see, it would have been March this year, is when I started buying some, and then I bought some more back in like June time. So one of them is at 19. So some of these were at 200%, and once I
Sure,
put
sure.
more money into them, it dilutes them a little bit, guys. But
Correct.
one's 19%. Okay, and this is, so mind you, this is from, you know, this year. It's not even from January, it's from March, or sooner. 19%.
Yep.
33.25%,
Yep.
17.49%, 89.33%, 6.59%, 35.84%, 38.52%, 32.89, or sorry, 0.59, 54.24, 22.98, and then I added a newer one that's another silver miner. I'm down 8.57% because I picked that one up about a month ago. But here's the key.
Can I rip
Go ahead.
mine off
Yep.
real quick?
Do it. Let's hear it.
And this may be more than just a year, right? So I'm not going to go into exactly when it was, right? So the next a year to 2-3 years, somewhere in there. Up 55%, up 75%, down 15%, up 126%, up 64%, up 3%, up 15%, up 105%, up 63, up 401%, up 201%, down 17%, up 52%. Hello. Okay, now again, this is not stacking.
No,
this is
not stacking.
I want to drive
this is investing
home. And this is not gambling, because you don't want to do that. You don't want to just, not care what it is and just throw your money at it. It should be with monies that you are able to lose. I have to say those caveats. It's important.
And you should be familiar with the companies you're putting the money into.
Oh, yeah. Know what you're doing. Do your research.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just excited about this. I'm so glad that I've been able to help somebody in this regard. And I know you have too. So that was that. Now, switch gears. I have another question. What is what is the real price of these precious metals, silver and gold? What is the real price?
All right. They can't. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple different answers. If we look at inflation adjusted, and we don't talk about, so the first one I'm going to say is inflation adjusted only. Okay, not what the real actual value is of these things right now. So gold should be closer to $6,000 right now, just to get to the point where it can be similar to how it was in 1920. So 1920, a gold coin, 1 ounce, or let's just call it I guess it would be considered a double eagle at the time, a $20 gold coin, would buy you a fine Italian suit that was custom made. Now you can split hairs on if it was how custom, right? But it was a very nice custom suit. And that's going to cost me probably even more than $6,000. So it could be $6,000 to $8,000 to get one of those. Okay. A nice suit, you can buy a nice suit for $2,000 or $3,000 right now. But those aren't Italian suits. They're not handmade where someone's measuring you and they're cutting fabrics and all that. So that's the number if you're just looking at inflation adjusted. Silver should be somewhere in the, I'm going to say $500 to $900 range. If you look at shadow stats and you look at inflation. Now, if you look at the real value of gold is if we were backing our money with gold again, you would technically need to raise the price of gold somewhere close to $42,000 to $50,000 to burn off the 38 trillion in debt we have, and about up to 120, let's see, 140. I might get that number wrong. I want to say it's around 100 and I think it's around 130,000 is the number I've heard to completely pay off all the IOUs. Some people say as high as 200,000. And then you'd have to do the math on silver. Let's say it gets to just the mean ratio over the last 100 years of 50. You're talking like a $50,000+ silver. So it kind of depends on what you mean by the real price of the metals. But what I can tell you is the other thing you can do is take the price of silver right now, look at the rehypothecation and divide it by how many additional shares are out, which is like, I haven't looked at it recently and I might have it totally wrong, but I think it's like 360 fake shares of silver, or paper silver to 1 ounce of silver. And if everybody were to buy silver that's in the SLV, that thinks they have silver, if they were all to go out and get silver, the price would skyrocket. So in essence, it's way, way undervalued from where it should be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So those are kind of the numbers in my head. What are your numbers?
Okay, I'm going to give you a little nuanced but very important point here.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you a little short story with it. Let me say that the real price of precious metals, gold and silver particularly, are not the current spot price that you see on the likes of Kitco or in the silver futures at the LBMA or SLV or anywhere else. What you're seeing now is a representation of the true value of the physical metals of silver and gold. It's a representation. How do I know that? Because it's changed dramatically. And Tim Marshner, my local coin shop dealer, maybe ineloquently has tried to explain that time and time again. And I've tried to help him with it. But listen to this. Back when I was a youngin', I mentioned, I stacked silver dimes with my dad. I would track the price of silver. I'd ride my bike a mile down the road to the library. There's Yankee on his bike. He'd go in, he'd get the Wall Street Journal. I'd put it out on the table, open it up, look for the Handy and Harmon silver spot price quote. I find it right there, and I'd write it down, and I did a little graph, and I was watching my silver. Back then, Google Handy and Harmon. Learn the history here, okay? Back in the 80s, that was true physical silver price per ounce. That's what you would actually get for the metal. All right. True physical price. Over the decades, and if you track this, ask ChatGPT or any of the AIs, they'll tell you, ask about the history of spot price. Get your key prompts in, make sure you qualify it as much as you need. But I did this, and it was fascinating to see how it's changed over the decades, how they allowed certain things, how they shifted it to a futures markets where they were able to speculate more, and then they'd be able to short it and be able to do all kinds of machinations, right? Spoof and everything. It was allowed more and more. Every decade, they would allow more and more and more until now what we have is largely false, fake. It's not the true price discovery. And I contend that we will not know what the true price is until the dollar collapses, until we truly have a reset. That's when everybody's going to realize, oh my word, that's the real price. And I think we get it. This is the one place where I think we can really get it, a little indication of it. I think stackers have the best pulse on what the true price of silver and gold, physical silver and gold is. Both what would you be willing to buy it for, and what would you be willing to part it with it if you didn't have an emergency? Let's say you're not forced to sell your gold and silver for fiat currency. What would you part it at? When would you? There's a reason you're holding on. Hopefully you have a strategy. Hopefully you're not just in it to just make a quick buck. But if you're in for the long haul, if you're trying to protect yourself, especially as a prepper stacker like I am, what is that price that you would part with it in terms of dollars, which may not even exist when you have to part with it? It may be in terms of a completely different other currency, or maybe just food and water and other supplies. You don't know. What would that be? And I think you'll get your answer. It's going to be a lot higher than $62. I'll tell you that much for my silver. A lot higher.
Well, Yankee, let's do this real quick. I want to ask the audience, what number would you, if someone were to offer you a number, what number would you decide it's time to sell my silver at? I'm curious to see if the answer may be, I'm not willing to sell my silver. It doesn't matter. I'm a prepper stacker and I'm going to use it for SHTF. But your answer may be $500. It may be $100. I've had people in comments say, as soon as we hit 50, this was a few months ago, as soon as we hit 50, I'm unloading all my silver.
Yep. I've heard that too.
I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? And if you are, contact me because I might buy it. So I want to see your answers. We've got a few $500 people in here. And then Tiger Stacker had a question for both of us in here.
All right.
So thank you for the super chat, Tiger. If you guys haven't checked out Tiger Stacker's channel,
awesome
definitely
guy.
do. He had
great
a great
channel
live stream today. Yes, it's a great channel. And he's a good friend too. But would you, I'm going to ask you this real quick, Yankee, while we see the numbers come in real quick, and we'll go back to that in a second. Would you advise people change silver for gold right now? And why or why not?
Okay,
I
I
did a
had
whole
somebody.
interview on this, so
I know. I had somebody in Tim's line that I talked to for a while because it took a long time in that line. You've been there.
yeah,
And at the very end, I think he got it. I say, buy what you're after, keep what you have, if you can afford it, and hopefully you have a
that's
reserve where
exactly
you
what I'm
don't
doing.
have to be forced. That's one of the saddest things. And I know it's great because at least they have it and it's a reserve and it's the savings and I get it, but I still see in their eyes they don't want to sell it. And I'm glad they have it to sell it, but I wish they didn't have to, and so do they. So be careful there, because if you buy what you're after and keep what you have and not rush to keep converting back and forth, you will, over the long haul, actually make money, because you lose in that transaction. You lose in premiums. Okay. A
Mhm.
lot of places don't do a direct conversion. Some do, a few, but most don't. They have to go through the dollar, right? And that cut, so the dealer stays in business, is going to be damaging, especially if you do it too often. When it's valuable to do is over a really long period of time. The major shifts, right? When the GSR drops down into the 30s or something huge and then
For
jumps
sure.
back up. Most people don't have the patience for that. Most people do. Oh my word, it's 63. Oh, I'm going to
Well,
switch.
that usually takes decades. I mean, that's a decade type
Yeah,
play. Yeah.
true. It's decades. All right, I've looked at the charts and I've seen the analysis, and it's decades play. So my rule of thumb is, don't do it. Not with the physical. If you want to do it in the papers market, knock yourself out with SLV or PSLV or whatever you use. But be careful with those. It's not real. But yeah, I just don't play that game. I know people do, and that's fine. Here's the last reason why I think you got to be very careful. Very careful. Is that I think some dealers are going to close their shops. I think some dealers are not going to honor the swap. I think the cap on what they will take your silver at might be lower than you expect, even though the spot price says it's 63 or 103 or whatever. It might be like, listen, I'm overwhelmed with silver. All I can give you is this. What? I want to buy your gold. Well, first of all, everybody's doing that, and I'm out of it. That could happen. The other thing is that you might not get what you expect on these conversions.
Yeah.
So be very careful. I have my gold and my silver for very particular reasons, very distinct reasons. They're similar, but they have their distinctness. And I want both for those reasons. I want my gold and I want my silver. I don't want to just get rid of all my silver and get gold. And I don't want to get rid of my gold and have just silver. No, there's a reason to have both.
I agree. I've had a few people in comments recently, and they're probably in the chat here. And they in there that they swapped out from all of their gold, at least that's what they say, into silver at 100 gold to silver ratio. And to Yankee's point, if you can find someone that'll do it straight across and there's no conversion and they like you and they're not charging you any
Yes.
fees for it,
Yes. That's
oh my
huge.
gosh, that's amazing. You can do that. However,
It
my
is.
answer to it was gold is wealth insurance for me, and my
Mhm.
wealth hasn't gone to zero. So why would I get rid of my insurance?
Beautiful. I
Um,
don't sell my insurance either.
I'm not selling my
I-
insurance. I live in this house here, and we're surrounded by a forest. My biggest risk is fire. So there's only one insurance company that'll insure my house. And if that goes away, then I'm
Mm.
stuck with California fire insurance, which is like $10,000 to $12,000 a year. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Put a
But
2 in the chat if you think silver. If you put a 2 in the chat if you think surfers should leave California. There, go ahead.
shut up,
Continue.
California, what are you doing there? So, so yeah, there's so many dumb things here. I mean, there's beautiful weather, guys. I mean, let's see, I'm out here at night, and I've got my fireplace here, and it is
There are other beautiful places in the country, dude.
59 degrees. I know there's other places, but look, I'll tell you this: if Florida gets rid of their property tax, I'm really tempted to go domicile there, and then maybe travel half the year. So there's no way I can do the summers in Florida I haven't even seen a mosquito in 10 years here in California, so I can't doing a lot of bugs is going to be a little hard too. But anyway, I digress there. So I'm never going to get rid of my wealth insurance because I continue to have wealth. Um, and I'm going to bet too, a lot of people did not sell all of their gold when they were at 100 GSR. I'm going to bet that when we get down to 30 GSR or lower, not everybody's going to sell all their silver either. And I think this is a little bit of psychology. When we get down to a 30 GSR, people are thinking it's going to 1-to-1 or 7-to-1. So some people will be holding on to it with greed, thinking it's going to keep going down, right? And maybe these are people that wanted to play the ratio. Okay, I'm not just talking a regular prepper stacker. But I believe when we get down to a ratio like that, there's a reason for it, and people probably want it. And so, it's not like silver's the metal that you hate, and therefore you just have it because you're going to play a ratio to get gold.
Oh,
And I know there's
exactly.
people that believe that,
Mm-hmm.
and because I hear them and they tell me this stuff, and I'm like, I don't think you understand what you're saying. I don't think you're
Right.
hearing yourself. But I think we're going to get down to that ratio, and you're going to have a really hard time selling it all, because I didn't sell all of my gold at 100 because there's a reason I own it. There's a reason I
Yeah.
own silver. I am not selling my silver dimes at a ratio of 30 or even a 7 ratio. I'm not doing it because that's not what the dimes are for.
And you said dimes, silver dimes. Let me just interject right now. If you really want to see the risks to playing the GSR, silver to gold, when it comes to physical silver, look at constitutional 90% silver. They are not giving next to nothing now. So why do I have 3 barter boxes full right next to me of silver dimes, silver quarters, and silver $half for me to convert back to try to get the gold or worse yet, fiat currency? No way. They're barter boxes.
Yes.
For a reason, guys. Now, am I buying any more constitutional silver? No, I'm not. I'm done. So you can actually be done with certain classifications of precious metals, I believe. You can reach a certain limit on certain things.
Well, Yankee, what I do for my constitutional silver is I look at having maybe 2 dimes a day to be used for food. I take the amount of people in my household and I take how many years I want to prepare for. And that's kind of where I do my base for my constitutional silver, chunk silver. Some people in here were talking about there's this thought out there in the community of you need to have your weight in silver. I think if you can have your weight in silver, that's awesome. Congratulations. But that's a pretty hefty goal for most people, to go get a weight in silver. It's quite a lot that's there. But when you look at silver product, I have like a couple 100-ounce silver bars that I bought in March at $3,200. Okay, great deal. I've already those things have almost doubled completely. Those I will flip into gold at some point, most likely. Those are not. How do you use a 100-ounce bar when you're bartering? I mean, I would be buying a farm or something. I don't know.
Right.
So, and I don't go buy a lot of those products. It just happened to be a really good opportunity, and I bought them 50 cents below spot. And I knew silver was going to keep going up, and this was helping out a friend, and he wanted to get out of them, so I did it. But the days of buying the Star Wars coins and all of the fun stuff, I've gone past that.
Oh, occasionally I'll have fun, but that is a rarity for me.
I'll tell you, I've just
have to have fun with that. That's fun.
I've just broken even on that stuff.
Oh wow!
But I've just broken even on it. I could have.
But you didn't buy
it.
But you didn't buy it to break even. You didn't buy it for that reason. You bought it for fun. You bought it for other interests. No, I might get my son little stacks involved. I bought him some stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling people, don't go crazy with that fun.
No,
because
I'm going to share this. Let me share this. Share that image. I think I have it. I just put that image up. This is not just a joke, guys. I mean, this is old. But honestly, I think you could get back to this. And that is why I have that classification of silver. I don't want to change it to gold. I have it for a reason, just in case. And that's a good example of it. I think this is also. How old
do you think that is? Is that like?
It's about 15 years old, I think.
15. Okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty close even now if you calculate it out. Here's a serious point that I think. I truly believe that in my lifetime, this will happen. I will if I go to sell my gold or silver at a local coin shop, they will not be able to satisfy my sale with dollars. They will not. They will offer
that is true.
They will offer a digital payment in a brand new currency backed by potentially a stable coin that has been reset to a different valuation than what we currently have. We've gone 200 and whatnot years, or it was since the Fed and since the Federal Reserve note and all that. We've gone a period of time where I think we're running out of steam fast. And I think they're going to be forced. I mean, right now, you've seen the Fed return. I think it's returned to quantitative easing. They're buying government bonds now. What? Japan doesn't want our IOUs. So the Fed's gone back as the bank of last resort. They're going to buy this stuff up. This is the end game I think we're going to see. And I hope I'm wrong. I don't think my bud Tim might not live to see it. We'll see. I hope he lives a long time, but I think I'm going to live to see it. I'm sure my kids are going to see it. So I need to be prepared for that. Prepared for the eventuality that you bring in a pile of silver and they're going to give you some digital script for payment. That would be awful. So, I don't know how many people agree with me in the chat there, but I that is why I'm stacking, because of the
let's ask them.
The morality of our government and central bank.
Are you guys okay, let's do it this way. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe what Yankee just said is potentially going to be true. Are we going to eventually get to a point where we're not using dollars, checks, or wires from a coin shop anymore? And
they're already talking about getting rid of the check. They're already talking about getting rid of the stable coin completely.
They give you yep. They give you a stable stack. So put a 1 in if you think that's going to happen. I want to see how many of those come up. And Yankee, we're seeing this now. So there's a couple bullion dealers here that aren't too far from me that 3 or 4 years ago they would give you cash. And 2 years ago they changed over to check only. So I went somewhere else. And now even our melters, we've got one benefit of living here in California is you've got the Diamond District down in Los Angeles. And so we can go down there. We're always very protected when we go down to Los Angeles. And hopefully we have 2 people going down most of the time when we do it. But when we go down there, even the melters, they don't want cash and they're not taking cash. Everything's being done by money via the SWIFT system, basically from bank to bank. And even local shops here, I think there's only 1 or 2 now that'll still do cash. But if you go to take them in, 2 or 3, say, gold buffaloes, you're going to probably take the cash out that they have at the store. And so I personally believe, yes, I think we're going to see not only everything move to a stable coin, which you guys is the same thing as a CBDC. It's just rebranded, to be honest. And it's just coming from, instead of the central bank, it's coming from a third party company that's doing it. It can be programmed. They can decide that you've had too many hamburgers, or they don't want you to spend in a certain state, or whatever else. So it can all be monitored and stuff. And I have inside knowledge of carbon credit scores that are going to be linked to it as well, Yankee. So it's going to be your carbon score. It's going to be your social score. So I probably will need silver to eat if I keep doing a YouTube channel at some point, because they won't want me to eat very much food on their digital currency. But like you said, I think checks are going away. I'm getting gnarlier and gnarlier bills when I do see transactions going back and forth. It doesn't seem like they're printing as many dollars. Pennies are gone. Nickels next.
Nickels will be gone. Yep.
And so
it's all part of
just
the plan,
going to phase it out. Oh yeah.
Nobody should be surprised. I have said for close to, actually, if I look back, I think it was a year after I started my channel, I made the prediction that by the end of the 2020s, so by 2030, the dollar would be destroyed and a reset would have to come in. We would be in dire shape to the point in which we couldn't function. The markets would maybe melt up, but the banking system would be in complete disarray. and we had to go to a new system. That was before, CBDCs. That was really before the talk about any talk about stable coins. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I had a feeling it was digital. I mean, shoot, it's biblical. We know where this is going, guys. We know the end of the story here, right? But I also want to be clear here. I think that we can delay it. I think it doesn't have to happen, but I think it is going to happen. That's the key. It's not hopeless. We just need to prepare.
It's been written, so it's happened. It's going to happen. But I agree with you, Yankee. It doesn't have to happen in 2030.
No.
We can
It could take a
postpone
lot
this.
longer.
We can push it out further.
Right.
There's
For the sake of ourselves and our kids.
We're seeing a huge movement in states deciding to make gold and silver legal tender again.
Yeah.
We've got the gold back movement, right? We've got I always get the groups the name of it wrong, but Tigers talk to him. It's the group for sound money. I always screw that up, but they're out there fighting things like this too. And so hopefully we can push it off because to your point, even if we have a massive melt up in the markets, if all you can unload into is stable coin, will they allow you to keep that stable coin? Will they allow you to store it? Or will it be something you have to spend at the end of the week?
They're gonna make you spend it.
6 months.
We have to be a spending, consumption-based economy. We have to. We can't be a saving-based economy anymore. That is gone and never to come back. So we're in a doom cycle of spending, which is why we need inflation. It's not a, we need some inflation if we have to. No, that's a target. We got to raise that target. I think it's going to be raised from 2 to 3%. I think the inflation rate has to go up until we get sound money, and we're never going to get sound money.
They're not saying that they're doing that, but that's what they're doing. I mean, the fact that they're cutting rates right now, I mean, honestly, if you go by the 2%, we should be increasing rates. We should have increased rates by like 3 or 4%. So
hashtag end the Fed. Hashtag end the Fed. The Fed should not be raising rates. The Fed should not be cutting rates. The Fed should have nothing to do with rates. Okay, that's another symptom of a corrupted, sick, fiat-based, debt-driven, consumption-funded fake economy, guys. The rate should be going up and down as the market demands. We've left free market economy behind. So that's why I stack. That's why everybody should be stacking. Yes. And don't forget the Free State.
I agree,
don't forget the Free State Project, the Pork Fest up in New Hampshire. If you guys don't believe that you can actually trade and barter and buy things directly with silver, you gotta go to a state that actually does it. Go to an area that does it. Learn. More and more people are learning how to do this. And mostly it's a trial run. I want to keep most of my silver. I don't want to barter with it yet, but it's a test run. You're learning, you're connecting. There's communities that do it. So make sure you have some just in case. And if you want to play the ratio, that's fine too and make money. But that's just not my primary focus here with precious metals. We are in deep trouble, guys. And if you aren't protected, you are in really deep trouble too. People are going to suffer immensely, and it saddens me. The only thing that's great, though, and I'm going to wrap it up because I got to go. My back is killing me. I just want to thank you again. But you, Surfer, are doing a great service. You and I have tried. And I know others in our community have done a lot, like Tiger Stacker, to try to help people learn about this. It's not too late. I know it's all-time record highs nominally. Don't worry about it. If you don't have silver, if you don't have gold to some degree, you need to have it. So tell your friends, tell your family, make sure people are waking up to this because we haven't seen anything yet with precious metals.
I agree. Well, Yankee, thank you so much for jumping on and
Thanks,
take care of your back. You need to get rest.
I know. I'm going to go ice it right now. All right, man. Take care.
Go ice it. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Great to see you all here.
Thanks, everybody. All right. So let's continue with that theme, and then we will come back to the price action a little bit here in a second. And then we did hit over 100 thumbs up, so we're going to do some more silver GAWS too. So a couple things I just wanted to but reiterate from what Yankee was saying too. The thing that's going to be really interesting with what's coming down in the future is, there's things we can do, some things we can't do. Okay. I don't have the kind of money to go buy a ton of SLV and then to stand for delivery to try to pull bars out of the COMEX or the LBMA. Okay. Michael Bateman up in Utah is a billionaire. He's done that. He's posted one of his deliveries, and he did $800 million of silver that he pulled out of the COMEX, and he did that last year, and that metal's already doubled for him. I have no idea where you store that much metal. That's a lot of metal, and it's in the 1,000-ounce mix. But that's what he's doing. He's trying to do it from there. So, one thing I would recommend is, look into some of these organizations. Tiger, maybe you can put the name of the organization in there. I hope to get some of these guys on soon. I'm talking to Rob Keentz. He's part of it next week, and I'll have an interview with him. And so I'm hoping to get a little bit better understanding of how I can make a difference too. And so just like I think it's important to be involved in local politics, state and federal politics, and everybody has different amounts of time and different interests and things. But if you don't have your voice heard, changes aren't going to happen. So I do want to do a couple of call outs to the super chats we had here real quick. So Tiger had another one in here for us. He's sending the joke. So thank you, Tiger, for the super chat. If you get your weight in silver, go on a diet. If you get your weight in silver, go on a diet and convert it to gold. All right. So yes, if you're having a hard time getting your weight in silver, maybe you can go on a diet and then you can do that a little bit more. If you ever get to the point where you can afford to get your weight in gold, congratulations, you have a lot of money. Okay. But like Yankee said, I think it's important to have different kinds of coins and bars and rounds and whatever else you're looking to stack for different purposes and reasons. Now, if you're just a prepper stacker, maybe you're going with just constitutional silver and weight, and that's totally fine. If you're someone that likes to have some of the collectibles, you can have some of those collectibles. Just know what you're doing, make sure you understand what you have and what you think it's going to be able to do for you, okay? So I'll kind of leave it at that, and then I'll do another shout out here for Syntax 2600. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. I'm not going to read the whole thing out on there because I don't know if YouTube's going to mess with our video if we do, but I'll leave it up there. You guys can read it, and it's coming. It's biblical. It's already there. It's going to happen. But can we get together as communities? Can we start to do things together that allows us to fight against that and to be able to live outside of it? And so, for things like that, I look at things with my family and say, hey, at some point by the way, the fog's rolling in here, so this will be interesting. Might get weird looking here in a second. Do I end up moving my family out of Southern California? Do we move to a farm or an area that's less populated, an area that doesn't have maybe state income tax, maybe an area that has more, freedoms? And that's something we've been looking at for the last couple of years, and we're kind of stuck here for medical reasons with my family for a little bit. But hopefully we'll be able to change that too. And then I did see you guys put a lot of ones in here, so I think you guys are also feeling the same way we are about a lot of everything that's coming down here. And I'm not a big fan of the Fed. I believe that our republic died in 1913, and we became an oligarchy. And I think the people in charge are really trying to turn it into, let's just say, a straight democracy. That's like how California is pretty much run these days. And those 100% of the time go into socialism. You don't want that. I would love to see us get rid of the Fed, the personal income tax. I'd love to see us have, if we need to tax things, it's more on a consumption. It's not taxed on earning and production. It's taxed on spending and usage. And I would also love to see us shrink our government back down and get it back to local. Everything's supposed to be at the local level and then start to roll up. It's not supposed to be a big, strong federal government that tells the states what to do and demands money from them and holds them hostage. So I'm hoping we can fix that at one of these days too. So I do want to look at a couple more comments you guys have in here too. I think you guys have a few questions, and it was awesome having Yankee in here, guys. So you might have put a lot of questions in here, and I probably can't get to all of them, but let me look at the ones that are at least more recent here. All right, so this is interesting. There's a lot of different beliefs out there, guys. So a lot of that comes down to what your personal belief is. And you got to go by faith on that. And at the same time, um, anything you read, anything that gets into prophecy, anything that gets into what might happen, you've always got to look at it. You got to pray about it for yourself, see how it applies to you and your family, and then apply that. Um, you know, God doesn't want us to be in fear. He wants us to trust in Him. He wants us to essentially follow Him, be as righteous as we can, but not self-righteous, and then be able to help others that are out there. And then from there, be able to enjoy life and enjoy, helping people. I mean, I'll tell you, I waited about a year and a half to start this channel after I started watching things on YouTube. And after I talked to Yankee and to Stormy from Empire Precious Metals, to start a channel, because I didn't know if I wanted to put myself out there, and I didn't know if I wanted to show my face. And I was in the process of spending a lot of money on a trust and hiding all my assets so no one could find anything, and kind of planning to hide under a rock or in a cave, so to speak, literally, figuratively. And I felt very, very, very compelled to start sharing a message and to put it out there. And that's really why I've put this out there and I've built this up. Um, and I want to be able to help you guys deal with this. So I think there's a very high probability that we see a couple things happening here soon. And these are things I think you should be watching in the news. One is the Japanese carry trade looks like it's about to completely go away. I think that's one of the reasons that quantitative easing is starting right now is Japan is having to dump US Treasury bills, okay? They have to do that or their country is going to completely implode. And so we're starting to, basically absorb those with the Federal Reserve, okay? It's like a shell game. It's like pulling $1 out of your left pocket, putting it in your right pocket. I think we're going to see more of that going on. We have President Trump talking about pulling out of the Ukraine-Russia war through getting out of NATO. And we also see, we see the EU coming back and saying they may dump some of their treasury bills. And then we've got BRICS. BRICS has been talking about potentially doing that, and President Trump has warned them twice this year to not do it. They've also got a new settlement currency called the unit I don't know if it's officially going back and forth yet. I know I covered some of this with Andy a little bit last week, but they are starting to move money back and forth by themselves without using SWIFT, which is a big advancement for them. And if they go to back that not their carry trade, but their settlement trade with gold, and that'll give them more confidence in not holding on to T-bills. So watch out for this, because I think this is going to happen more and more. And it could be what kills the dollar. It could also be what happens is it falls in steps. So you could wake up one day and there's a 10, 20, 30% decline in purchase power. And that will probably cause the mania that Yankee was talking about. People start jumping into everything. All right, let's see what else you guys have in here. And as you guys know, a lot of people are aware of the central banks are buying gold like crazy, okay? We're also hearing that India is buying a lot of silver. We're hearing that China is holding on to silver. They're also encouraging their citizens to buy a lot of silver. I've had Eric Jung on several times, and he posts a lot of stuff on X showing how people are just buying these 15-kilo bars per family, and they're putting their savings into that. And so what I'm concerned about is in the United States, this might be the same thing in Canada too. I'm not seeing lines of people at a store yet to go buy silver. And so, our stores are stocked with a certain amount of silver, but when that mania kicks in, I think one of the telltale signs will be your local coin shop is out. They don't have any. And they're having to order it. And I think that's going to be one of the signs that we're hitting into a mania. All right, let me see what else you guys have in here. And if we get to the bottom here and you don't have any new questions, I am going to answer the question on price here. But I'm not going to give you my prediction yet. Those are coming. This is true. You're a King Kong stacker if you've got your weight in gold, definitely. So that would be pretty crazy. We're going to hit this in just a minute, okay? Talk about where gold and silver is going here. And then I'm going to point you to a couple videos too to go take a look at. So let me make sure I pull those up for you. So I'll cut and paste those into the link here for you guys too. Okay, so this is an interesting one from Craig too. It is possible to, so a couple things. If you have concerns about confiscation, there's a lot of controversy on whether they'll confiscate the gold or not in the United States. Just to clarify, no one ever came out door to door to take it. Gold is not used as money today like it was back then. And so very few people have it as far as coins go and bars. Most people, if they have gold, it's in the form of jewelry. And a lot of times it's a wedding ring, or it's like maybe a nice pair of earrings or a nice necklace or bracelet. And people don't have a lot of it. I don't see anything like that happening. If we do have a confiscation type scenario, it's going to be because things are super bad. We need the gold. And it's most likely going to be bullion vaults, maybe potentially, you know, socializing or having the United States get a portion of the, making an investment is what they'll say, and getting a portion of the outcome of say gold and silver mines in the United States. And you could see it maybe go after IRA funds. Okay. If they're going to do that, I think they're going after stocks, they're going after savings accounts, checking accounts, and equities and cryptocurrencies. Okay. So if you've got it and you personally hold it, I think you're in pretty good shape there. I can't guarantee anything at all. But one other way, if you have concerns around that, that you can stack is you can stack with jewelry. As far as I know, there hasn't been anything in history where they've tried to confiscate any kind of jewelry. In addition to that, a lot of times people are selling jewelry, and you can buy it at a good price. But if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you know how to test it and make sure that it's that you understand what you're buying so that you're not overpaying for it by weight. All right, let's see. Yeah, you guys have some great comments on here. Let's see. That was a good question. We didn't get to totally ask Yankee about that. So next time we'll have to ask him. I'll tell you my thought on gold backs real quick, guys. So one, if we get into an SHTF situation, gold backs could potentially be something that's used for barter and going back and forth. But if we're looking at weight, you're going to have overpaid pretty much double for those in that kind of a situation. So I don't think they're great for an SHTF where the economic system is broken and we're going back to using gold and silver as money. I don't think gold backs are as good in that situation. Where I think gold backs are good is right now trying to wake the country up into using more gold and silver in everyday type situations or in barter situations. I like it for that standpoint. And as long as you're doing that, you're not really overpaying for it. If you're using it if you're buying it around the exchange rate, you're not losing money. You're moving it into a different form and you're using it. If you're stacking a lot of gold backs, hoping that in an SHTF, it's going to be a good bang for your buck, I don't know. You're probably overpaying for it. I do see them they're very popular at coin shows. And if you live in a state that has them and uses them, I would recommend going downloading their app and seeing what's around you. And if you can find a lot of stores that are around you that you'll use these at, that's what I see gold backs for. My other caveat for it is I think they're perfect for 72-hour kits or go bags and also for your car. Here's just a little tip. Open up your glove box, take out your instruction manual or your driver's manual for your car, owner's manual, and put some gold backs kind of spread in the pages in there, okay? No one's going to look in there. No one's going to find that. And if you have a decent amount in there, you can always lock your glove box if you're valeting or anything like that, or you're just walking away from your car. I think it could be good for a situation like that where maybe it's more of a localized, your car broke down and you need to pay someone that's going to tow you. I always recommend keeping some cash on you too at all times. When I travel, I always have extra cash with me. A lot of times I'll have extra gold or silver with me too. So I don't know what Yankee would say on that, but that's kind of my thought on it. The more I get into stacking, the more years I do this, the more I move towards weight versus say just collectibles. But with that said, I do have some cool 1933 coins, and I'm not going to get rid of that stuff. And you got to be careful to not pay too crazy of premiums for those. All right, let's see what you got in here. Let's see what other questions before we get too backlogged here. I don't exactly know what you mean on this per se, but what I'll tell you is right now, in my opinion, is not the time to get into oil. I think right now is the time to get into silver and gold. The time for getting into oil is going to be after we have probably some kind of an economic issue that happens. And then coming out of that, we should probably have a resurgence in the economy. And that's the time you're going to start to see oil going up. Right now, President Trump's trying to get oil as low as he can. It's being manipulated. So I wouldn't personally, I'm not doing that. I can't give you financial advice on here, guys. You can't take what I'm saying to go do that. I'm not an advisor, but personally, I'm not touching any of the oil stocks. Now, what does happen towards the later end of a gold or silver bull run is what we tend to see is we see the price of gold skyrocket, right? And then silver bypasses it, not in price, but in percentage gain. And then what you end up seeing is you end up seeing oil getting pulled along with it. And it's done that just about every time. And that starts to affect the mining stocks because costs start to go up there. Okay. But that's usually towards the end of the bull run. We're in the beginning. It's not something I would even worry too much about right now. But just be happy that you're paying a little bit less at the pump. Okay, let's see what else you guys have in here. So Rob's concerned that too many people in this chat will be multimillionaires when silver reaches 500. Okay, I just want to say a couple words on this real quick. So I have silver, I have gold. I probably don't have enough, very much compared to a lot of you guys. A lot of you probably have been stacking for decades and you've accumulated a ton of this stuff. If you have a significant amount of gold and silver, make sure that you set up a living will. And then if you've got enough of this, it's important to set up either a trust or instructions for when you pass. Okay, help people know what you have so they don't just take it to a pawn shop and get rid of it. And I know what Tiger's going to tell me. His pawn shop's great. We're not talking about your pawn shop, Tiger. Most pawn shops aren't going to give you the same value as you would get at a reputable, online or local bullion dealer. If you think you might have a lot and you could have tax ramifications to it, you might want to set up a trust and make sure that you have things set up in the right way. If you've never had a lot of money and you believe you could be a multimillionaire, I think it's important to read some books on what it's like to be a millionaire. Go read Millionaire Next Door is a great book. And be prepared for that. But I'll tell you, most millionaires I know, you would have no idea they're millionaires because they do not flaunt it. They drive, like a Honda Accord. They live in a normal house, and they've got everything's paid off, and they've got a lot of stuff. Let's see. I don't think anybody should answer that. If you do, I wouldn't tell anybody because the first rule of Stack Club is you don't tell people that you're in the Stack Club. Okay, guys. So it's one thing to tell someone, hey, you should look at gold and silver. It's another thing to say, hey, I've got a bunch of this stuff. Okay. I'd be careful with that one. And we will hit this in just a minute. We're almost down here at the bottom to catch up with you guys. Okay. Okay. So we'll take 2 more questions on here, and then I'm going to go into the dollar amount. So Zachary, yes, Asia. So here's what's really happening, guys. If you want to look at the whole macro cycle of what's going on, um, the 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 big bullion banks, and those are the banks that hold silver. They're the ones that interact with the SLV, GLD ETFs. They are heavily manipulating, and it's been proven that they've done that. The price of gold and silver, okay, and silver more specifically is what they really got busted for. But they're manipulating it down. Okay, they're playing spoofing games. They're doing all kinds of stuff that's making them money. They're also trying to hold the prices down so that industry can use it and they can, create more products at a lower price. There's another reason they're doing it is there's a belief that if you have a very high silver price, let's say silver was sitting at $2,000 today, people wouldn't want the fiat currency anymore. And so I can tell you right now that if we see silver in the next 4 to 5 years go to $2,000, the dollar's gone. It's just going to fall apart. People aren't going to trust it. They're not going to want to use it if that kind of action. So they're also keeping the price down for that reason. Well, the Asian countries don't care because they don't have the reserve currency. Okay, we do in the U.S. So what they're doing is they're actually giving you more money for your silver or your gold on their exchanges. And so they're essentially sucking the silver and the gold right out of the West, all the way over to Shanghai in China. Okay. And so that's happening. And that's something you've got to be aware of. And they produce a good amount of it. I don't know if it's exactly 60 or 70%, maybe it is. But they produce a lot of it and they're not letting it leave the country. So I would say that we're in some kind of a monetary Cold War. And that's why I worry about the US Treasury bills, because the best weapon our enemies have, or anybody that wants to stand up against us, is dumping our T-bills in the open market and basically just destroying our ability to borrow any more money. That forces us to shrink our country very quickly. It would take the dollar down hard. And so, that's the stuff you got to be a little bit concerned about. And that's why I don't want to hold a whole bunch of fiat notes or dollars, right, in the bank, because one day you may wake up and there's a huge issue there. But like Yankee said, I like to have reserves. I recommend 3 months worth of expenses in cash. And I don't recommend you just have that sitting at your house, but you might have some of it at a house. You might have some of it in a vaulting facility. You might have it at, at a few different banks, kind of spread out. You can have it in credit unions. You can have it in banks. You can have it in, some of the gold vaulting facilities where you put it into gold and silver, but it's very liquid. So I've had like One Gold on before, or Glint, are the 2 companies that I use. So you can do that. But this is the kind of stuff that you got to be paying attention to, because as that starts happening, you're going to see that there's going to be some issues with it. Okay, now's the time. Okay, we'll hit this with what everybody's looking at, kind of what the subject was on the title. Okay, so the title says $48, or will it run to 75 next? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to recommend you guys all go and see this video that I put out this week with Kevin. So I'm going to put it in the post right here. So what you can do is if you guys know how to do it, you can press Alt and you can click on that link, and it'll take you, and it'll put a new tab up for your web browser if you're on the computer. If you're not, you can click that real quick, come right back, and you can go back into your history and see it. But we looked over charts, okay, and I have been traveling all week and in a different zone and time zone and kind of tired. So I may not get the numbers completely right that I was talking to Eric about, so I want to reference that video to have you guys go back to it. So there's a couple things I'm going to say with this, and we hit this earlier in the show if you guys were not on there. I like to dollar cost average, so I don't care what the price of silver is, and I don't care what the price of gold is. It doesn't matter to me. And the reason for that is I'm looking at myself like a central bank for my family. The central banks don't care what the price is either. To be honest, they're just buying, and they keep buying more and more. We would all love it to go lower if we're buying, and if some of us are towards the end side of our life, we might want it to go higher so we can maybe spend it and do something with it. Okay. Um, and I would caution anybody from overly spending and never enjoying life. You got to be able to enjoy life. You got to be able to go do things and get yourself in. Don't hide under a rock. Don't hide in a cave. Okay. No one wants you to do that. But when I look at this like this right now, what I'm seeing is I'm continually buying when a deal comes out. Okay, so I'll talk to Andy Schectman with Miles Franklin, and if you guys don't um, know him at all, I'll just throw this up for a second. You can do this. There's a small commission that comes to the channel to help us out. If you guys do, info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Stacking Surfer sent you. But when you look at buying bullion, I recommend having multiple places. I like SD Bullion. I use them a bunch. I use Miles Franklin. I like to use another local place, Liberty Coin, tangible investments I've bought from. I've bought from other online dealers, and I've bought from a lot of local people. And what I'm looking for in particular is I'm looking for a specific product. Sometimes some places don't have the product I want. Okay. Sometimes I have to go a far distance to get it. But when I go to buy, I'm always looking at what the spot price is. I'm looking to see what it's done recently over the last couple of weeks. I'm looking at the charts to try to understand what it might do in the next couple more weeks in front of me. And if it looks like, nothing's super crazy going on either way, and I find a good deal, to me, that might mean something different to you guys. Then, I like to go over and I'll throw this up here too, just to remind you guys. I like to go and make that deal. And so I tend to do stuff on you know, anywhere from you know, 1 to 2 times a month is usually what I kind of buy. And then when I see big movements happening, something in the news that looks like it's going to move silver up higher, okay? Like when I see the 45-year cup and handle breaking, that's when and once it's confirmed, I know I'm buying, and I'm buying a lot. And it's because I know it's going to go up. Now, could it go lower than that? It could. So you guys hit the subscribe, the bell icon, and the thumbs up. That'll help the channel. Let's go back to what we had here. I don't know if I can find it again. Well, I lost the comment. I don't know. Blame StreamYard. So here's the deal. Where's silver price going? Okay, let's talk silver first, then we'll talk gold. So I continue to buy because I don't want to be in the fiat dollar. That's number one. Okay. Number two is I believe the price is going way higher. I don't believe it's going to double. I don't believe it's going to quadruple. I don't believe it's going to 8x. I think it's maybe potentially going to 5 to 10x. Okay. And I'm not throwing that out as a prediction. I'm just saying that it could go a lot higher. Okay. So as of right now, the price is way lower than any of those indicators that I'm looking at. And so for me, it's still a good buy time. Now, if I get thinner on cash and life is getting more expensive to live, I have to reevaluate that situation. So what was Kevin talking about? Well, I think if I remember correctly, I think he was saying we could get up pretty close to 70, maybe $68 or so here pretty soon. And then he sees a pullback coming down. So let me see if I can let's see if I can do this without messing up. I want to see if I can share the video. Let's see if we can do this. I want to see if I can get his chart up on the video and show you guys, because I haven't tried this before. This actually might work to do it this way. Let's do a couple. I'm going to share with you guys a couple things. Okay, let's see if this will work. Well, it's taken over my screen. Sorry, guys. That took us to a black screen, didn't it? I don't know. That didn't share anything, did it? There's a ton of AI channels that use all of our stuff, guys, and they're not using me yet. I'm not big enough for them to care about me yet. All right, let me see if I can get to this to show you this right. Let's see if I can make this work. We're going to try to share. Sorry, it's a little bouncy. That's the way I've got it set up here. Okay, let's see if I can get this to work. Okay. Oh, well, you don't want to see all the stats. Let me see if I can take that stuff off. I don't know if I can. Well, that just shows you how many people have viewed stuff on the channel, okay? Ignore that for a second. What I do want to show you guys here is silver, okay? Silver actually went over 100% I guess earlier today. You've got gold, silver beating out the S&P 500 and Bitcoin, okay? Go watch this video if you haven't seen it yet, guys. It's a really important video, especially if you're in cryptocurrencies, if you're in the stock market, or if you have a lot of cash around. What he's talking about is the importance of understanding what we're in from a cycle standpoint, okay? So what we're basically in, guys, is we're in a, and I love the term he used here, is we're basically in a era. So we're in a gold era. We're not in a just a gold bull run. And so there's this capital rotation that's going on. Okay, so this rotation's happening here. And this is going to answer your question, guys. I know it's a little long-winded on where the price is going, but I want to help you kind of understand this and see this. So he goes through different stocks and he shows you that basically we're starting to have this yellow line going down. And you have to understand with his charts, a lot of times what gold and silver is going to go up when the chart's going down because you're pricing other assets in gold and silver. This one in particular in gold. As it goes down, the value goes way up. Okay. If you can understand how to read his charts and you follow him, you're going to have a much better idea of the cycles that are going on. Why are cycles important if you're dollar cost averaging? Because it tells you maybe when you want to buy a little bit more or when you want to buy a little bit less. Okay. If you're always dollar cost averaging, it doesn't make as big of a huge deal. But here's like the cup and handles. So we had this. This is, let's see, shoot, right here. So here's silver's 46-year cup and handles. Let me see if I can zoom in on this and make this work for us. Okay. Okay, right here. All right. Follow with me, guys and gals. Okay. This is where silver price is going. Okay. I want you guys to understand this. Okay. First off, this is not prophecy. He doesn't have a crystal ball. He's not a prophet. He doesn't know exactly where it's going to go, but this guy used to work for the Royal Air Force in the UK, and he was a weather forecaster. He understands predictive analytics. That's my space too. That's what I've got my master's in. And when you start to understand predictive analytics, you can see different trends that are happening and you can start to get a confidence interval. So, for example, you can be 85% confident something's going to happen or 90% confident something's going to happen. So, mind you, look at this. What we have a cup and a handle, and we have another little cup and another handle, and you can't quite see it on here, but you can kind of get the sense of it. But what I want to show you guys this is here. What he's showing us, can you, I don't know if you can see my pointer. You probably can't. I don't think you can see my pointer when I'm doing it. If you look at the red text that says 55 to 56, okay, you'll see the circle. You're going to see is that the price of silver in the short term is probably going to be going up, okay? And then he sees it testing, and you're going to see a couple different colors of lines there, okay? So one of them is a darker line that goes higher, and he's got it kind of like at, I'm going to call it 90. And he's got a shorter one that's green that looks like it's maybe going to hit about 68. Okay. So he's basically saying that he thinks we're going to hit somewhere between 68 and $90 before we see silver come back down to test this resistance line of which is the red line. Okay. And so what I believe is that it's a good time to keep buying because the price of silver is going to keep going up for a while. And then what we can see is we can see that line may dip back down. We don't know where it's going to go. And he's got it listed in kind of, depending on the scenario, it's between 58 and about 40, let's call it 48, somewhere around there. And so it goes up, it comes back down, okay? And this may not happen perfectly like this, guys. It may hit that line and bounce right up and take off. It may not quite hit the line and go higher. It could go below the line. But here's the key is if you understand when these cycles are going up, if we start to get to some of those numbers and it looks like that nothing else has really changed, there's a good chance that there's going to be profit taking in the market and the price is going to come down. But here's what I want you to really understand is this red box up here that says weight of evidence leads here. That box is the range that he sees happening within these years. So I've got to zoom in here to see it. So if you look at it, he's looking at a target price somewhere between $295 and let's call it $600. And that's somewhere between 2028 and 2035. Okay. So it's important to understand technical analysis, but you could have Donald Trump come out and tweet something and it throws some of this stuff off. Okay. We could have the bricks come out and they could mess up too. But I want you guys to understand that I'm bringing people like this on as guests so that you can learn from them. You can understand what this looks like. I'm not expecting you to go buy this software and use it. If you're not a trader, you're probably not going to get a lot of value in there. That's why a lot of these people will offer this for free. If you are a trader, you should be using something like this. If you're an investor, I think this is also very important to look at. If you're a stacker, it's a little bit less important to look at it consistently, but it gives you an idea of when you're going to have these ups and downs. What you'll notice is that once we hit this line, he's showing these two lines that go straight up. Those won't be straight up, but they'll be pretty much straight up. You might have some consolidations along the lines over the next couple of years. But when I look at that, if he ends up being correct and his bottom case is $300 silver, do this. Put in the chat a 4 if you think $300 silver is possible. Okay. I want to see what you guys think. Just put a 4 in there because we've had other numbers already in here. It'll be easier to find it. I'm curious to see if you guys think $400 silver is possible between now and what he's got, 2036. Okay. And then the other thing I want you to put in here is, do you think silver is cheap today? And are you still buying? Or do you think it's overpriced and we're going to go back down to like $20 silver? I'd be curious to see. Put a 5 in if you think that it's cheap today. Put a 6 in if you think it's going to go back down to like $20 and that it's, we're going to see a repeat of 1980 in 2011. So I want to see what you guys come up with. But anyway, that's this video. So I would definitely recommend watching this video if you guys haven't already. And then he's got some other really great stuff in here. He talks about the gold to silver ratio here. So he sees the ratio coming way down to about 30 or so, close to 30. So I think that's kind of cool. He also shows in here, right around here, this is gold versus, well, that's going to be a hard one for you guys. It's an index. Let's see. That one's going to be a little harder too. You'll need to listen to what he's saying too, because you're going to get a better sense of this. But yeah, on these charts will totally show up. But anyway, go back there and watch that one. I think that's a really good one for you guys to go see. And then if you haven't done so, I'm going to stop sharing that one. My interview with Andy Schectman was really good, guys. This is one, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend going and watching it. We might get a little sound here in a second. And I'm just going to show the screen for a second because there's not stuff for us to. I'm just going to pull the video up here. There's not a lot for us to show on the screen. But this one was, don't sell your silver for gold, do this instead. Okay. And it's my best performing video so far. It's got about 94,000 views on it. So if you haven't watched this one, go watch this. We cover a ton of stuff in here. What makes a video big and pop like that? I didn't show it to you right here. There you go. So go take a look at this video, okay? The reason these videos, a lot of videos popped on the same day last week is because of some news around silver and all that stuff. But if you haven't watched this interview, go do it. We cover a lot of the macro, okay? So here's really what I think is going to happen. We have a high probability of, is I do think silver is going to be going a little bit higher for a while. And then I think we're going to see people taking profits that are trading it and some of the investors. And then I think we will see a test, back down to 60. And we could see it go all the way down to 50 and potentially could even go all the way down to, let's say the very high 40s. I don't see it going further below that. So if you're sitting on the sidelines going, I'm not going to buy silver today, it's overpriced. I've just shown you a whole bunch of evidence that says $60 silver is not overpriced, $70 silver is not overpriced, $80 silver is not overpriced, $90 silver is not overpriced, $100 silver is not even overpriced. I've just shown you some charts that show that we could see silver, even if you buy it at 100, that you can still double or triple your money. Okay, and I think that's massive. All right, so the other thing I wanted to hit on today too, I need to look at the comment. Got a couple of comments saved. Some of them are going to be for Andy. That one's for Andy. Let me see if I did want to hit this real quick too. So gold to silver ratio, okay, which actually technically should be called the silver to gold ratio if you understand math terms, but that's not what they call it. Silver to gold ratio got all the way down to almost 67 today for like a little brief time, okay? And then it jumped all the way back up to 69. And if we look at it over the last year, I got to go into the app. Sorry, guys. That was a picture. If we go to the last year, you can see it's been dropping like crazy, okay? And if we go to 10 years, which is the furthest out it'll go, you'll see that we are getting closer to kind of the mean over the last 10 years. But if you look over the last 100 years, the mean is about 50, okay? If you look at ancient history that goes past 100 years, okay, because that's ancient history to all of us, then you're looking at something much closer to 12 to 1, okay? So you can't rule out those ratios either. I've heard people say ratios don't work and they're, ignore them. It's not happening anymore. It can still happen, guys. There's only so much silver on the planet. It's used for so many things today. There's 8 billion people on here. So if all 8 billion are still here and everybody's money fiat system breaks around the same time and everybody knows that silver is money, what do you think is going to happen? The numbers we just looked at won't even work because there's nothing going to be priced in dollars. So it doesn't matter what the price is. It's you either have it or you don't have it. If you have it, you can use it. You can go get things. You can trade. And if you don't have it, I hope you can make something. All right. I just ranted for a bunch. So let's see what you guys have in here real quick in the chat. And then we're going to do our giveaways here in just a second. So I'll just show you guys a couple of comments here. So 17 Eagles today at 63, still cheap. Now I have to admit, I haven't bought any silver over 60, okay? In the last couple of years. I mean, I bought maybe some Spider-Man coin at 60 and sold it at like 150. So I did do a little bit of that. But as far as stuff I'm stacking, I haven't spent over that yet, but I will. There'll be a time where I do that, and that might even be this weekend, as we've got some silver coming in. Let's see. Yes, it's totally it is. So if you say anything's cheap today, it's forward looking. But that's what I do. I look at the forward of it and I kind of want to figure stuff out. So I do see that you guys, we're going to go back to the numbers. I see we got a lot of fives in here. Okay. And we got a lot of fours in here too. All right. Well, it gives me a good indicator where your head is. So that's cool. Cheap is relative, guys. So, let's talk about, so we kind of talked about silver. I'm not going to give you my price prediction yet for next year. I'm working on that right now. Gold, let's talk about gold. I don't think we're going to hit $6,000 gold this year, or even $5,000 gold. I think we're probably going to be sticking around where we're at. I think it'll go up a little bit higher. Right now, it seems to be kind of silver's run. But the point I wanted to make on the gold to silver ratio is also do not be surprised if you see us go back up to 90 on the gold to silver ratio. So I talked to Kevin about that, and he said that that's also very too. So we can have these swings right now, right? So silver's hot. It keeps going up for a while, and then we may have some economic news that comes out that's not good. And we could see silver go down. We could have a war that breaks out. You could have gold go up, right? A lot of things can happen. So if you're wanting to play the gold to silver ratio, there could be one more chance of doing it above 80. I can't guarantee it, but it could happen. Like Yankee said, I'm not just flipping out of stuff. I'm just adding to. And it's a skill you've got to learn if you're going to do it, and it's also something you have to watch because there could be a ratio of 60. But if they want to buy your say you want to go buy you're wanting to play the ratio at 60, right? By the time you go to do it, by the time they buy from you, they're buying below spot and they're selling to you above spot. You get the spread. It ends up being like a 75 ratio. So it didn't help you. I guess is the point I wanted to make. So there you go too. This is the other way to look at it too. So the numbers I showed you are just looking at the possibilities of silver. And it's keeping a very high ratio. So the other way to look at it is if we end up with gold at $16,000, like Kevin is saying that we could see, you go do the math on that. So if we get to 16,000 and we get to a ratio of say 7, you get to that kind of a silver number. Okay, I'm not making a prediction on that. I'm not even going to say that out loud. That's a crazy high number. Okay, some people I've talked to that are pretty big wigs in the community that have like 100,000 channel. Not Yankee, but other people I've talked to, they think the value of silver, the fair market value of silver, really should be about $2,000 an ounce. That would be crazy, but I just said that word now, didn't I? Probably silver under 50 is gone. The only real caveat is if we have a massive stock market crash and like 1929 style, and you see an 80 or 90% decline in the stock market. If people are having to, and they're on margin calls and they're leveraging themselves, and they have silver, they may be selling silver to try to shore things up, or to pay back the bank. You might also see a situation where there's so much worry about the economy and that it's never going to come back, and people are freaking out. We're going to go into a greater depression than what we had before. You could see a downward pressure on silver. Excuse me. Now that would be on spot price. Physical premiums could get super high in a time like that because the bullion dealers may not be willing to sell their product at a 20 or 30% discount. And you won't see gold and silver go down as much as you would see cryptos and stocks go down in a scenario like that. Short of that, I don't see it going below 50. I don't even think it's going to hit 48. So I forget who was mentioning that, but they said they wanted to wait from 40 to 45. You can do that, but I would recommend a philosophy I learned from another channel that I've watched a few times. I don't watch him as much now because he's gone from talking about real estate and gold to all Bitcoin only, is Mark Moss. He's got a huge channel. He actually lives pretty close over here by me. But one thing that I got from him that I thought was pretty cool is if you're looking to make a trade or an investment, but you're not 100% confident in it, but maybe you're 40% confident that you're going to have a dip down to 40, you know, keep 40% of your money for that dip and use the other 60% and do your dollar cost averaging, and vice versa. If you are 100% sure it's going to go down there, then I don't know why you would buy today. And if you think there's no way it's going to go below 50, what number do you think it might go down to? And so that's why I like the dollar cost average. It just kind of goes up and down with it. If I had waited to buy all of my metal today for the entire year, I would have missed out on some amazing runs up. And I couldn't have bought everything that I've bought this year on January 1st because I didn't have the money for it. So, it doesn't work out that way. I'm sorry. I'm not a big math guy either. Quick story. I was going to be an architect. I did really well in high school with architecture. I don't think I should say this on TV. I lettered in architecture. I didn't know you could do that. Okay. My architecture teacher got me a letter. I did not get a coat for it, but I did. I did letter in it, and I took second in state for my architectural renderings and drawings. And I thought I was going to be an architect until I found out how much math there was. And I said, no way am I going to do that. And then I showed up to my first day of grad school. And guess what? There were 5 classes of advanced statistics in the program. And I was stuck. And I had to go through it. And I ended up doing really well. I think I got, A's in every one of my classes. It makes a difference if you have a good teacher. But I didn't want to do math. And so I chose my program that way. And it turned out there was a ton of math in it, which is what happens. You're welcome. Thank you. It's always good to hear that you guys are enjoying this stuff. All right, let's see what OC says, because he's my other guy around here. 50 to 1, we'll see 10% of my silver stack turn into gold. I don't know, OC. I heard something will happen when it hits 70. I think we've hit that already. We're gonna see, guys. But here's what I'm gonna tell you. I told Yankee this earlier. Create your goals. It's good to have goals, okay? But when you get there, don't be surprised if you decide to change the goals. At 100, I think a lot of people decided that, hey, I want to swap out of it, and a lot of them didn't do it because they were waiting for it to go up to 110, and it never did that. So they missed that opportunity. You can make money doing the gold to silver ratio. It's a young person's game, though. Okay, I'll be honest about that. It usually takes a decade to 10 to 20 years, but more like 10 to 15 years to play it each way. And if you can do it young, great. So if you're someone that's 20 on here and you're watching this, you have the opportunity to buy a bunch of silver right now, way low. Wait for the ratio to get down to 30, turn it into gold if you want to. But you got to do the right stuff. You got to make sure your premiums are small and make sure it works, or otherwise just hold on to it. But theoretically, you could do that and wait for it to go back up to, I don't know if it's going to go back to 100 again, but let's say it goes up to 60 or 70 or 80, and you'd buy more silver and go back and forth. If you can do that 4 times in your life, you can basically 4x your stack just off of trading back and forth, which can be kind of cool. But we'll see. We'll see if OC is going to do that. So we're going to put this up here so we can hold him to this one. All right, what else we got in here? Is it a good rant? Okay, good. You guys are enjoying it? All right. My wife didn't want to hear any more about my coins, so she told me to come outside and do this. That's the main reason I started the channel. So yeah, just to reiterate, 50 is the 100-year average, is the mean, right? So it's what the average has been for the last 100 years. You go further back, it's pretty much been around 12 to 7. So everything's manipulated and broken right now. One civilization was even down to 1 to 1 with it, and there was another one that preferred only silver. So 50 is, it's not the middle mark, because you really need to look at how it comes out of the ground to kind of really get to that middle mark. So, because that's the, almost 6,000 year time period of what it has been at. Now, if we ever go on to the gold standard again, which I believe is going to happen, then your gold's going to get fixed and your silver may be allowed to move around a little bit, but it'll probably get fixed too at some point. So that'll be an interesting day. We'll cover a lot more on the channel when we get closer to that time. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so there's another number. If gold was at 8,000 and the GSR is at 8, we're at 1,000, right? So there's some math. Wait a second, you told me there wasn't going to be any math, and now you're doing the math. To be honest, I think going much below 60 is going to be hard. 50 is that top of the cup and handle, and we've kind of already broken out of there quite a ways. So there's a good probability we don't go below 60, guys, just to be clear. When you look at the chart from Kevin, there's a good chance we do not go below 60. 55 could potentially happen. And you've got to remember, when we say numbers like this, we're not predicting it. We're not telling you what action you should take there. But what I am saying is, these are kind of the numbers where it would be more prolonged there, right? So you could have it go down in one day all the way down to 48 for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden a bunch of people start buying and you see it jump up to 55. I mean, we can have some really some big volatility in here too. So Silver Shelby Stacker wants to wait until 25 to 30. So I think the key is this: if you want to do the gold to silver ratio, you need to make a goal. You need to decide on what number you're looking for, and you have to be okay if we never hit that. And then you need to find a way to build a relationship with other people that will swap it for you. Okay. Two things is going to happen when we get to 25 to 30. Either everybody's going to be going for the gold, and there's not going to be enough gold to be had, and that ratio is going to go back up pretty quickly. Or a lot of people are going to be saying, I don't think I want to sell yet or flip because I think it's going lower. Okay. Or it may just be you've decided you're not going to play the ratio anymore. But if you're going to play it, you need to have some ideas and some thoughts around there. I thought of playing it a little bit more when it was up at 100, and technically I did play it because I sold some gold and I acquired more. I used those funds to go buy silver. So I kind of technically played it without really meaning to do it. And it just happened to be that people wanted to buy gold and I had some gold, and someone wanted to sell silver and I could buy some silver. So sometimes it just happens like that. All right, let's see. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You did well. And by the way, Atari, my father-in-law was offered the first investment into Atari for $500, and he didn't have it. His best friend in high school and going into college was Nolan Bushnell, and I've got a picture to prove it. So anyway, he got one of the first Ataris as a gift, though, from his friend, but unfortunately he couldn't put the money in. That was we'd have a lot more silver, I think, if he had done that one. But yeah, Atari is pretty cool. I remember playing Atari all the time. Okay, now this is an interesting one since we're just going over things. Okay, so my guess is President Trump wants to be the guy that fixes America, and he believes he's the only one that can do it. I have a belief that they knew that there was some issues with Fort Knox before they even decided to audit it. But I could be wrong. Sometimes Donald Trump just says stuff. Okay. And, and I can't remember if it was him or Elon Musk that said, let's audit it first. And I know Mike Lee's been calling for it, and Senator Rand Paul did it in the past, was trying to get it done too. My guess is there's not enough gold in Fort Knox, or it's not pure enough, or it has been lent out and it's not there. And they didn't want to do that. Strategically, as like a negotiator, I think President Trump probably has a pretty good idea of what's there. And he just doesn't want to play his hand yet. I think he's waiting for the BRICS to play their hand and other people. China says they have like 30,000 tons. We're supposed to have 8,100 tons. Okay, if China has 30,000 tons, then why aren't they telling us they have that? Right? So there's cloak and dagger being played here. In China, I don't think has that much. And maybe that includes what's in the ground that you can't even get to. It's like every couple of years, the African country finds like 10, quadrillion dollars worth of gold buried under their country, which is all BS. I think Trump was using the Fort Knox to push the banks to bring a bunch more gold home and get it into the New York vaults and to pull it back. We've also got Germany that was asking for something like 1,000. Let's see, like 1,020 tons. Okay, that they want their gold back. Okay, so we're going to have some interesting days ahead with some of this stuff, but at some point, I think we're going to audit Fort Knox and the other bullion vaults. And at some point, we're going to find out if we have enough in there, and it'll be other countries that help do that process. Revaluation, I think we're going to have to revalue it at some point. And revaluations can happen all the time. So most likely they'll revalue to market, which means they'll mark to market. So right now we're at $42.2222 is the value of gold on the books of the Treasury. If we wait, I think they'll wait until at least $5,000 before they go to revalue it. If they go to revalue gold at 5,000, it's going to give us something like $1.5 trillion out of thin air. And I could be wrong here, so if I'm wrong, correct me. But I believe what'll happen then is they basically have $1.5 trillion in the Treasury that they can go decide what to do with without congressional oversight, because it's coming out of the Treasury. It's not coming out of the purse strings that the Congress runs. I could be wrong on that, but I believe they have the ability to do that. They could go buy a bunch of strategic reserves, which should be more gold, and it should be silver. I hope it's not a bunch of cryptocurrencies, because I think that'll blow up in our face. But that could happen, and so they could revalue it again when it gets to $10,000, and all of a sudden they've created another 1.5 trillion or whatever. And those are just round numbers. I don't have the exact number. I've heard this from a lot of people, and I don't know if that's even real, but I hear a lot of people say it. Silver is the word of money in many different languages. We'll have to ask ChatGPT on that. Well, OC, maybe Kenshi doesn't have as much silver as we thought he had. Maybe he only has Bitcoin, and he's been hiding. So maybe he doesn't have it. All right, let's see what else we got in here. Yeah, that's the other play, I guess, too, is they're keeping the price of silver low because they need it for munitions and technology. What happened to Kenshi? You guys know exactly what happened to Kenshi. Bitcoin's been getting destroyed. What is it at right now? Is it below 90? It's at 90. So Bitcoin is, I'm going to tell you guys right here. Bitcoin is, let's see if I can save this. Oh, come on. All right. So there's the price of Bitcoin. That's why Kenshi's not showing up. So 92,000, and look at for the year to date, it's down 2.48%, and your silver is up 100%. All right. It's not impossible, but I wouldn't plan on that. Like when you hear these big tall numbers we're talking about, we're giving you guys possibilities. We're not telling you the probabilities of those, okay? Even Kevin's not giving you that exact probability. He's just giving you a frame that's in there. Don't ever take a number you hear like $2,000 an ounce for silver or $50,000 an ounce for gold or $1 million Bitcoin and buy because you're hoping to get that out of it. If you're doing that, you're not a stacker. You're trying to be an investor, and you probably don't know what you're getting yourself into, and you got to be careful with that. All right, we already did Kenshi. Kenshi's done. We're done with Kenshi. Okay. Yeah, totally. If Bitcoin can be worth that, then a lot of other stuff can too. Now, I do want to show you guys one more cool thing here. You'll like this. This is killer. Let me see if I've got it up on my screen to bring up. Yes. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys. Shows you the top assets and their market cap and then their price. So right there, you can see gold is number one at $30 trillion. Okay, there's the price of it. NVIDIA's next. Okay, this is going by asset. Now, I don't know why they put stocks in there. I guess they put the stocks in there individually because if they put all the stocks together, it's going to be a way bigger number. But let's say the stock market starts going down and NVIDIA has $4.2 trillion. Where does that money go? Okay, now some of it will disappear into thin air because the way the stock market works is it's not like every dollar that's in there is actually in there. You can have valuations that jump and go down. It's kind of a screwy thing, but there's gold. Okay. Then there's Nvidia. Then there's Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, and silver. Silver has a larger market cap, almost twice the market cap of Bitcoin. Okay. That's significant. Now, what happens when you end up seeing gold and silver at the top of this? When that happens, well, first off, I think we get there because crypto people jump into it. But you could see some crazy things happen, especially with the capital rotation. And that's what Kevin talks about is money moving from equities, which is stocks, over into gold and silver. And if some of that maybe gets into crypto a little bit, but if that stops going into crypto and it starts moving into gold and silver, a lot of the crypto guys are going to move into gold and silver. And so one day Kenshi might be on here talking about how he bought a bunch of silver at like $20, and I don't think I'm going to believe him. All right, let's see. So James believes that 40 to 1 is as low as he can see it going. 7 to 1 is not happening. That is not how economics work. You think the price of beef is set by the number of sheep born that year. No. So just to be clear, James, the reason that we had silver at 7 to 1 or at 12 to 1, it has nothing to do with economics. It has everything to do with pegging, okay, or backing. So for us to get to a number like that and be stable, that means that our currency is now backed or pegged by gold, and then we have a ratio that's created that by the market. And I don't mean the free market, I mean the Fed or the Treasury, whoever's doing it. They'll come in and say gold is worth this, and then they'll say silver it's 7 to 1 or 12 to 1. Okay, that gets stuck in there. Now, as far as the free market goes, if the manipulation silver and there's huge pent up demand, you could see that ratio go way down. It could go down to 7, it could go down to 1, it could go backwards. I mean, crazy things can happen. We had negative oil a few years ago where they were paying you if you'll just take the oil, like from a big shipping container, oil barge or whatever. It can happen. So yeah, not to get confused with it. It's not a economic thing that takes it down to 7 to 1. for it to stay there. It could be short-lived. It could happen. Even 40 is not necessarily an economic thing either. Um, it's a little complicated, but the thing to know is when we're talking about the ratios in those low numbers in what it's been history, it was not a market, a free market thing. It was a pegging. It was, this is how much it's worth. And it was relative to gold. So we don't actually know exactly what it bought all the time. In those different societies, it could have been different. Well, congratulations. It looks like you're going to be retiring soon, Greg. Just hang in there a little bit longer. I think we'll be getting up to that number. I agree. It shouldn't be. I think you're going to see gold be worth a lot more than Bitcoin, and I think the distance is going to spread out. The people that are really heavy into Bitcoin believe that Bitcoin's going to replace all the money on the planet, and that's why they're going into that pretty heavy. It's a big, strong bet. The smart Bitcoiners I know are ones that they got in when it was $1,000 or less, and they put a significant amount of money into it. They probably, I'd say, some of the ones I know, I'd guess they bought 50 to a couple thousand Bitcoin. A lot of them are buying real estate like crazy and hopefully getting into metals. Okay, let's see. I'd have to look at the total numbers. I don't know what it already comes out to. They're, if the mining ratio is silver, 7 ounces of silver coming out for every 1 ounce of gold, and they're holding a lot of the gold, we'd have to look and see how much has been consumed over time. I don't have the stats on that to be able to tell you exactly. What I can tell you is if it's, and I know someone's going to freak out when I say this, but Andy said that he's talked to military people that can reaffirm with him that there's a monster box worth of silver in the warhead of a Tomahawk missile. Okay, and those things are pretty big. They're like really round. They're still pretty big missiles, and those things are flying. And if you have 500 ounces of silver in there, it's a lot. Now I know Richard's going to come in here and tell me it's probably closer to 250 or 300 because he's done that a few times, and other people will come in and say it's a couple grams. Okay, I don't know the total number. I'm just telling you what Andy said. Okay, and it's not to pump. I don't see Andy being a pumper. He doesn't care if you buy from him or not. He's sold so many metals. He just wants to help people get a good price, and he's got his customers. And if you want to be a customer, great. If not, that's okay. Um, I don't think him coming on a show and trying to pump a 500-ounce thing into a military weapon is going to change his business and get people to buy from him. So I don't think he's pumping it, guys. Whatever that is, a missile vaporizes and it atomizes that silver. So you're not going to find little flicks of silver everywhere else. No, it's just going to be a bunch of atoms that explode out. So it's gone. Recycling doesn't even happen on silver right now because it's not cost effective. And I don't have that number, but I'm going to guess it's above $100 before they starting to recycle it. It might be more like $1,000 before they start to recycle it. I don't know for sure. But right now, because of the price of gold, you have people going through old computers and pulling the gold out of it. I had a bunch of old computers I gave to a guy that was repairing them. I want them back, but there's a lot of gold in those things. All right. Yes, that's true. Um, uh, they also have higher capital gains taxes, which is really stupid. We shouldn't have any capital gains taxes on money. And it should be any form of gold and silver because technically it is all money. All right, let's see what we got here. Look at this. Look at this. We're going to do that real quick. So you guys subscribe, thumbs up. We'll do the silver giveaways in just a second here because I'm going to pass out soon. Yeah, it might be further back than I thought I was. Yes. So I had probably the best teacher of stats in the country at Northwestern University in my degree, integrated marketing communications. And we did advertising, public relations, and then we went into heavy database marketing, which turns into predictive analytics today. And so I actually wrote the first predictive analytics model for the company Motorola when they had the Razr phone, if you guys remember the flip phone. So I wrote that, and I got paid a bunch of money from them to help me pay for tuition, and some VP got a really nice raise out of it. Because I'm sure he said, look what I did. But I can't build those anymore. But I did enjoy my classes, and stats can be really hard, but it was explained to us in such an easy way. It's like stuck into my brain. And so what I do now is I work for a company that has AI, and it's in the analytics space, and it's in digital marketing. And it just makes sense to me. So I'm kind of like I guess it got burned into my brain. Um, I do both. So I manage companies that work with my company, and in the process, I get paid great money, and I get to travel to Brazil and to the East Coast a lot, all that kind of stuff. Thanks, James. Yeah, it was a great video. If you guys haven't seen the one with Andy, it was awesome. So I'll be interviewing him again on Tuesday. I need to go watch that interview another 1 or 2 times and take some notes on what I did that was really good. Now, the algorithm picked that one up and it really fit, and it did really well with a couple other videos around. So, I'll try to see what I can do to get the message out there a little bit more. And then the video dropped off. I don't know what happened with these uploads. I had a whole issue with it last week on 3 videos. Never had that issue before. One of them, it just wouldn't upload. It took me like 4 hours to do it on Sunday. It just kept not working. But it may have helped that the video just ended abruptly and no one dropped off at the end, because they look at all these weird different stats for it. But thank you. Yes, but can you drop a so my senior year project in high school, I designed a 10,000 square foot home with an elevator and a movie theater in it. That was a mistake. I never had a life. I had to finish that whole thing. I would have taken first in state if I could have finished that on time. All right, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna go down. You guys probably have a lot more questions, but I'm gonna go down here to the bottom so we can get your stuff, and then we're gonna do some giveaways here. Um, yeah, that happens. You can also have a trust, and it will automatically happen in the trust too. Um, he's not waiting for the giveaway, but he is. We know his real name's Kenshi. Just kidding. For those of you that know Kenshi, he was giving us a hard time the other day. Okay, she should be who becomes the next Federal Reserve chair, but what they should do is just shut the stinking thing down. Forget the Federal Reserve. It's horrible. It's unconstitutional. Go read the book from the creature from Jekyll Island. Federal Reserve should not exist. It was not constitutional. The income tax should not exist. We should be based on tariffs again. But the way Trump did it was really messy earlier this year. I didn't like that. It was messing up my investments. There's probably less messy ways to do that, but it's his style. It's a little messy. And we should have a much smaller federal government that doesn't require as much funding. We've just gotten really bloated. I mean, you got to think about it. For um, almost 250 years now, we've had new laws being written constantly, and they usually don't take them down. So it's just messy. But I'm hoping that she's right, and that we do start to see some bonds being backed by gold. Not because I think it's a good idea or that it's going to be successful, but it puts gold out there more in the market. It gets people thinking about it. It gets more people investing in it. I don't think it's going to solve the problem, but it's at least something kind of moving in the right direction. All right, so Jam Unleashed, thank you for the super chat. Capital's gain tax is a misnomer, in my opinion. It's not so much a capital gain as it is currency devaluation. It is. So, I won't name anybody's name here, but they do. Well, I'm not going to even say this. Okay. I've got a close friend that tells me often, hey, you're in the money on that because you bought it last year and it's gone up so much. And every time I remind him, I haven't made any money on it, because if I sell that coin today and I want to buy it back tomorrow at the same price, I didn't make any money on it. And so, the way the the income tax, the IRS is going to look at things is they say, okay, if you bought a gold coin at $1,000 and it's gone up to $4,000, you've got to pay taxes on the 3,000. Okay, and this is not tax advice. This is just how things work, and that's at a 28% rate. Okay, there's no short term, or there's no long term. That's the long term capital gains on it. Actually, I believe it's still. I think it's still considered capital gains. I don't think there's a long and a short term on the gold. I could be wrong on that. If you're doing it as a business, it's a little different because it's going to come out as like a business expense and stuff. But anyway, you've got that difference. But if you go to buy the coin a week later and it goes up to being $4,010 and you go pay taxes on it, it's just dumb. It's money, and it hasn't gone up in value at all. It's just been devalued. So I totally get it. But I'm going to tell you guys to pay your taxes, get with your CPAs and accountants, and make sure you're doing everything on the up and up. I got to tell you to do that. I don't know Trump, so I can't tell him. But I bet you could write him. You could probably write him a letter. I don't know much about that, and I don't know if that's really coming out or what it is, but there's that for you guys to look at. All right, one more super chat. We have, frankly, that's not funny. Thank you for the super chat. I just appreciate this guy can surf. Yes, we can surf. My body's not very good these days, though, guys. I've had to do a lot of medical treatments and stuff. So what I'll tell you this is, I created the channel for a couple of reasons. One, I live in Southern California. Two, when I was doing one of my first auctions with Stormy Empire Precious Metals, my last name came up, and it scared the crap out of me that my last name was showing next to buying a coin. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And it's a last name that had some significance to it. So he automatically was like, hey, I got to reach out to this guy. And I'm like, oh, great. And so I decided I had to hurry and put a name together. And I thought, okay, I like to surf. I'm down by California. This will be fun. So I do Stacking Surfer because I'm too worried that Marvel might sue me for Silver Surfer. And I think a few people have had that name in the past. Plus, it's good to have something you can kind of brand and stuff. But for me, it's two parts. One, I like to surf. And the second one is I want you guys to surf the biggest silver wave coming that we're ever going to see in our lifetime. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And what I like that Kevin was telling me the other day too is he's seeing this thing starting to expand. Like it's going to go out longer. For a while, he was saying 2028 to 2032, and now he's going to like 2036. And so he's seeing that it could go quite a bit longer. But yeah, so there's that. I don't speak Portuguese, but these do. So I bought these. These aren't good to put in your ear very long, and it's got a signal going between my head all the time, and I think either this pair or the next pair is going to monitor your brain waves, which is not great. But out here, it's a little helpful for you guys to do it versus bringing my whole studio set up. So it's not going to kill you doing it for a few hours or whatever, but I wouldn't have these in all the time, guys. But I don't speak Portuguese, but I can take this and I can take my phone and I will turn on Apple Intelligence only doing this, and then I'll turn it back off because I don't want it watching my whole behavior of everything. But I can have someone speak Portuguese to, and then on my phone when I speak English to them, it'll show up in Portuguese. So I used that when I was down in Brazil. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Okay. The Federal Reserve note is illegal if it was issued by the U.S. Treasury. It's not issued by the U.S. Treasury, therefore it's not illegal. but it's a very big loophole. So it's not our money. That's why it's the Federal Reserve's money. So if President Trump decides to revalue gold, they're going to reissue new gold certificates that they send to the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is then going to go print $1.5 trillion, give it to the Treasury, and the Treasury can go spend it. Okay. It's like a loophole that should not even stand up. Honestly, what should happen is the Supreme Court should just come out and say, hey, it's not even constitutional. You can't do it. That's what they should do. But they're not going to do it, at least not with this crew. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can play the ratios if you want to, but you need to know what you're doing, or you're going to end up paying a lot of money for it. And in the long run, it's not going to really work out for you. I would never sell all my silver, and I will never sell all my gold. Okay. There are people that do that, or at least they say they do that. They're just trying to play the ratios and maximize it. That's not my thing. My thing is to accumulate as much as I can. But I have them for specific reasons. Gold is for wealth insurance. So what if my house burns down and it takes 3 years for me to get my money out of my house? But even with insurance, I can only get a third of my money because the land's no good, and I can't sell it for hardly anything. My gold can be used to help get another house, things like that. It's my wealth insurance. Silver is what I can use to feed my family if things get super bad, in an SHTF, or it can be used to barter with. And I could always go sell it back to a store if I needed to. But I'm not saying you should sell your silver for gold or your gold for silver. I'm not even saying you should play the gold silver ratio. It's just an option. But if you're going to play it, you need to learn about it. You need to understand it. As far as selling gold into silver, the best time to do that was over 80, and over 90 and over 100. You had a much better shot. So if you're wanting to play it and you see those ratios again, pay attention to them. There's your second chance. If you're not playing it, don't worry about it. Okay, let's see. It looks like we're going to lose Tuli, so thank you, Tuli, if you're still on. It is getting late now, isn't it? For a lot of you guys. I'm guessing you had a good question. You'll have to ask it again. Let's see. Yeah, you only lock in gains when you buy or sell, guys. And you always make your profits when you buy. You want to make sure you're buying this, metals right. There you go. One species, I cannot sell my insurance against a failed currency because I cannot replace an active policy. All right, let's see. We got a first time here from Oregon. Welcome. Mockingbird exposed. And what's funny is the numbers that come on a lot of your guys' ends there. I think YouTube just randomly puts numbers on there. I don't know why. But thank you. Welcome. If you guys haven't already done so, I'll just throw this out because some of you are new. First one I'm going to say is hit the subscribe, the bell icon, and the thumbs up. We're getting close to the end of the year. I'm going to do a live stream on December 31st. And then I'll probably do one, maybe we'll do one on the 1st. But actually, I think I'm going to do it on the 1st, not the 31st. But if we get to mid on the December 31st of this year, 2025, and I'm sitting at 7,000 or higher subscribers, I will be giving out a 10th ounce of gold. It'll be a really cool 10th ounce Toro from Spain. It's the second Spanish gold coin that has been minted in 400 years. It's a reverse proof, and they're really hard to find. So those are going for $500 to $600 a piece. So if you guys want one of those to be given away, you got to help me build the channel. We're getting closer. I can't do it all on my own. and I've got a couple of good guests coming on. Some of them I'm going to have to push out until January with their schedules, but we've got some big names coming on soon. At least they're big names to me. One of them is a big name. The others you guys might not know as well yet, but you'll get to know them. And my throat's going to close out here. Subscribe, bell icon, share this with other people so we can get to that 17,000 and get that to you. If we don't get there, we've hit 15,000, so we'll do at least some silver. We get to 16,000, we'll do more silver, and we'll make it fun. And then if you guys haven't before, consider Miles Franklin for buying gold and silver. info@milesfranklin.com. Email him, let him know Stack and Surfer sent you. And there's a small benefit that comes to the channel for that. All right, let's do our giveaways. I don't think I'm going to be able to harvest this the right way, but let me double check first. Let me give this a try. We were going to do one from Andy's video because a lot of you were watching that. Okay, let's go. We can. Okay. All right. We're going to do more of this in the future. So here's what we're going to do. This will probably start next week. On the videos that I post, I'm going to tell you guys a keyword. And it's going to be in a different place in videos. If you go and post that keyword, I'll be able to pull that up, and we're going to do that for some of the GAWS. So let's see. Yeah, we'll do it off of a keyword. So what I'd like you guys to do real quick, I'm going to give you a chance to test this. Okay, we'll do this as the third giveaway for today. Actually, how many mods? How many thumbs up do we have right now? Doesn't always show me the right number. 191. Okay. If we can get to 200 here, okay, we've got 183 people in here. If we get to 200 real quick, I'll do a fourth giveaway. Okay. All right. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to put a link into the video real quick, and I want you guys to go type a word. I'm curious to see what this will even do to the video. But I'm going to show you guys the word in the comment here. So here's the link. Okay. And then here's the word we're going to do. We're just going to have fun with this. We're just going to put in, okay, I screwed that up. Andy Rocks, okay, not Andy Rock. So add an S on the K there. So go to that other link, go type in a comment, Andy Rocks. And this is going to be our first trial for this. I want to see how this is going to work. We'll do that for our last giveaway tonight. That'll give you guys a chance to do that. In the comments right now, we're going to do a different picker. So I'm going to have you guys do a hashtag, and we're going to start collecting for all of you that are in here. If you're on a TV, go pull out your phone, your tablet, pull out a phone, a tablet, and go and see if you can type it on there, because you can probably get that to work. It might be a little easier for you. All right. So, so Andy Rocks is not on this. It's going to be on the other video. So here's the link for Andy Rocks. Go put it over on this video in the comments of the video. So we're going to try that out. Okay. What we're going to do here right now is we're going to put in, we're just going to make it simple, and it's going to be hashtag GAW. And I'm going to start collecting them here, and we're going to run 3 of these, and then we'll run the 4th one for Andy, because I think you guys got that over. Yeah, we got over it. So we'll do 4. So we're going to do 3 with the GAW. All right, so we're at I don't know, whatever we're at. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, can you guys see this now? Oh, nope, you can't. Now you can. Okay. We're going to run 3 GAWs from this. Okay, right now I only have 44 people in here. So add your hashtag GAW on there, guys. And then I guess I need to tell you what we're going to do here too. Hashtag GAW. So let's see if we can get this up to like 60 or 70 here. We'll give you guys a minute because I'm going to run it. Once we start running, it's too late to get back in there. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes here. I'll go look at the last couple questions here, but keep putting in hashtag GAW and then go to the other link, go put in Andy Rocks, and I'm going to pull that on the 4th one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to put all this in there so we can collect it. We're up at 53. All right, let's see. That's funny. Let's see. And yeah, you guys might be coming back in here to do that. So, technically, if the national debt is paid off, it goes to whoever's holding the treasury bills. Okay. So that's going to be a lot of foreign countries. But let's say he pays that off. What is he paying it off with? If you're okay printing massive amounts of dollars and creating massive amounts of inflation, you could just go and basically print $38 trillion, pay off everybody that holds a treasury bill. They'll be really upset because their money won't be worth much, but you could do that. So that's who he's paying. I know a lot of people try to think it's, some imaginary thing or it doesn't exist. Whoever's holding it now, a fair amount of that's going to go to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve is you're not really paying anything off there. It's just going into basically getting destroyed. Now, if you want to talk about liquidity that's out there and money printing and everything, so much of that has to do with the loans. If loans come in from the banks and they don't reissue them, then you have those issues. Let's see here. Okay, so I missed a couple of these super chats. Let me hit those real quick, guys. Keep putting hashtag GAW on there. We're now up to 58. We're almost at 60. If you guys are on a TV, you've got a minute here to kind of get in there. Okay, I missed a couple of these, so I'm going to put this on here. So here's one, Syntax 2600. Thank you. You believe we may go back to the gold standard? Please elaborate. I'd give it a 99% chance we go back to a gold standard. And I think most people probably think we're not going to do that. The caveat to that is it's probably going to be a digital currency that is on the blockchain that will come out as a stable coin, probably not a CBDC. And I think it's going to not work. I think it's going to have problems, and they're going to have to back it with gold. And so it's basically going to become a digital dollar that's backed with gold. And I think that will stabilize things. And my guess is we don't do it until someone's probably financially attacked us with our T-bills. Could be wrong. But I do think we're going to have to go back to a gold standard. History tells us that every civilization that has ever done a fiat currency has gone down to zero. And every time they go to reset, they always reset with gold. Happens every time. So I don't see why that wouldn't happen again. But thank you for the super chat there. And then, frankly, that's not funny. Surfer Rocks, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Oh, we hit 63. Okay, so we're pretty close to that. All right. Oh, Yankee got us. We got another super chat in here, guys. No, thank you, Yankee, for the super chat, and thank you for the time too. Hopefully you enjoyed the rest of the show while you were relaxing. Hopefully your back's not too bad. I know what it's like. I'm doing a lot of medical stuff right now, and one of the things I'm doing is a lot of detoxing, and I detoxed way too fast on Monday, and I could not walk Tuesday, and I had to get on a plane on Wednesday to fly to Atlanta. And so I was really nervous, and I had to just do a bunch of stuff to try to get myself better. And luckily, I had a back brace, and I kind of flew out there with a back brace and a bunch of Advil. Coming home, I'm a little better. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna do we'll go ahead and do. Let's see. Since we're celebrating, we had my best video ever come out. I'm gonna go ahead and do quarters tonight, so we'll do silver quarters. And we're going to do 4 of those. So I'm going to pull 3 of them now, and then we're going to go back and try this other method and see if it works. And we're at 64. So this is for a silver quarter. I think those are worth, I don't know, who wants to do the math on that? I think they're worth a little over $10 each. And then I'll send a Stacking Surfer sticker with it too. But anyway, I think they're like 10.10 or 10.20, something like that. $11 now. My goodness, silver just keeps jumping. So we're going to celebrate that awesome video. I'm just hoping we hit 100,000 with it because I like round numbers. So it's like sitting at like 93,000 or something. Yep, here we go. We're going to run these. You guys ready? All right. Now going forward, we're going to start to do some of them off of comments from the videos. And this is to help get you guys to watch the videos more, to share it with other people and make it work. Melissa, my channel. That is a cool name. Congratulations. So here's what I need from the winners. You guys have until tomorrow night to claim it. Okay, if you miss that, it's going to go back into the pool for the next week. What I need from you is I need a screenshot of this just to show that you have it. I need to know what your channel name is. I need to know your name for your mailing address, and then I need your address. And then I'll go ahead and send that out. Now, I will try to get them out as fast as I can. Sometimes it takes me a month. Sometimes it takes me a month and a week or so to get them out there. I travel a lot for work. You know, for example, all the ones that just went out, I left them here for my family to mail. They did not mail them. Okay. So if you got a notification that your GAWS on the way, it went in the mail today. I don't feel comfortable putting these in my mailbox for my mailman to come by because he's already I already had to make sure nothing comes to my house, you guys, and I store stuff off site because my man is always looking for a package from the bullion dealer, and he's a wealthy guy and he just does it for fun. But when your mailman shows up and says, "Hey, what coins did you get?" It kind of freaks you out a little bit. So anyway, this is the first one. We're going to run the second one now. But send me that information. I'll get it out to you guys. So those other ones got sent out today. My family just got too busy and wasn't feeling well and didn't get those out in time. And I seriously was finishing that up at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had to leave at 5 the next day on a plane. All right, so we've got Barbara Wall 4335. So congratulations. That's for the second quarter. Oh, so in the title or the subject of it, just put GA, and then in the body, remind me that it's for a silver quarter. All right, let's do a third one here. Let's see what we get here. Makes me nervous when I see my logo showing up a bunch. Oh my goodness. F-37 metal, what's up? Good for you, man. Congratulations. All right, now I'm going to try this other random picker, and we're going to see if this works. Okay, it's loading all these. Oh. Okay, we've got 43 comments on the other one. So let's see how this other picker works. I haven't tried it. I don't have someone fancy like Yankee does to go build me a fancy Yankee will. And I sell AI software, so that's kind of funny. Oh, well, we're down to 10% battery. We almost drained this whole computer, guys, doing this live out here. That's crazy. Okay, let me just change the strain. Gotta stop that, redo this. Okay. All right, you guys can't see that yet. Okay, do you guys see this now? All right, we're gonna try this. It went through all the comments, so I think 43 of you left comments. So that's kind of cool. Let's give it a try. This should pick a winner here. There we go. Cult leader 6977. All right, so congratulations. That was cool, but it was kind of like uneventful. It didn't even like give us like, it didn't even potentially show your name and get you excited. All right. So this is for winning silver quarters, 90% silver quarters. That's what you win. You see, you get a stacking surfer sticker, which are pretty cool. There's not very many of them left. I'm not making them anymore. And then you get a silver, you know, it's going to be either a Walker or a Washington 90% silver quarter. All right, guys, so let's do this. Look for some more stuff coming out this week. Today, a video did drop, so I do want to share that with you guys real fast before you go. And this is the video that one of the videos I'm going to use for next week for the word. So we're going to test this out today by having you guys go to this video and leaving a comment, and then we're going to pick that comment next week. Okay, so we're going to see how this works and if it helps these videos out. So here's the video link. What's cool about this video is it's an interview with Sil or Salvador. He is the co-founder of PCGS, and he's the person that created the grading ranking system for PCS that they still use today. So it's pretty cool to be able to have him here local. He's showing off a couple of the great coins. He's talking to us about gold, pre-33 gold, and it also talks about platinum in it as well. And this is the second half of the video, so you can go back. You'll see the link in this video to go back to the first half. But here's the word we're going to put down in there is we're just going to put, this one's going to be a hashtag gold in that video, okay? Not this one. Go to that link I just put in there, put in hashtag gold, and we're going to use that as the word for next week, okay? And so we're kind of cheating a little bit on this because I'm going to do one of the other giveaways we'll go ahead and do with another video that I put out. Now there's not a guarantee that we're going to be doing giveaways next week, but so far we've been hitting 100 likes on my other videos, and as long as we're getting 100 likes on the videos when they're starting, it helps the algorithm get going. So I'd rather give you guys free silver than pay for advertising. How's that? So that's kind of how that works. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. My throat is gone. My voice is gone. We were on here for 3 hours, which was not expected. I thought maybe I'd do it for 30 minutes because I've been up. I think I didn't get much sleep this day. So you guys have fun. Keep stacking. Pay attention to what's going on out there, and share with your friends and family this channel so that we can grow it and you guys can win a 10th ounce of gold, hopefully. All right. Talk to you later. And I'm going to drop this for a second so you can just see me. So peace out, everybody. Have fun.